Once Cecilia had calmed down, a pang of guilt settled in her chest. She had to admit, Wyatt was right. They had been together for this long. How could she have so little faith in him? The thought of how many people had seen her crying her eyes out that morning made her cheeks burn with embarrassment. Charles hadn't expected things to turn out this way. His plan to take his daughter out for a nice meal was scrapped. Instead, he ordered in for them. He'd hoped to spend more time with her, but the moment they finished lunch, Cecilia started nudging him toward the door. Charles couldn't win against his precious daughter, so he had no choice but to drive away from Maple Creek Estates early. Cecilia sat on the sofa in a daze, her heart fluttering with a nervous energy at the thought of Wyatt coming over that afternoon. She had no idea how she was going to face him. After sitting for what felt like an eternity, she couldn't take it anymore and headed upstairs. She went in the bathroom, filled the tub, and tossed in 2 bath bombs. Soon, she shed her clothes and sank into the warm water, a layer of dense foam quickly covering the surface. After her bath, Cecilia took her time getting dressed. She chose a white, off-the-shoulder top paired with a black pleated miniskirt. Then, she spent 10 minutes applying a touch of light makeup. She had a naturally beautiful complexion, so even skipping most of the steps, she knew Wyatt would find her just as stunning as ever. It was almost 2 o'clock when she finally came back downstairs to wait, her stomach tied in knots. Right on schedule, Wyatt had already left his house. He navigated the familiar roads to Maple Creek Estates, stopped at the community mail hub to grab a package from one of the lockers, and then drove up to the villa. Wyatt got out and rang the doorbell. The sound sent Cecilia bolting to her feet and out in the yard. When she opened the gate, she looked up at Wyatt and saw his expression was still cold and distant. She immediately lowered her head, feeling a fresh wave of shame. "Where's your dad?" Wyatt asked directly. "He left." Wyatt stepped inside, closing the gate behind him. He grabbed Cecilia by the wrist and pulled her into the living room. He sat down on the sofa, leaving her standing beside him, her face a mask of pitiful regret, like a child who knew she'd done something wrong. "Do you get it now? Do you know you were wrong?" Wyatt asked, his voice stern. Cecilia nodded meekly, whispering, "I know. Sit." She obediently sat down. Only then did Wyatt's voice soften. "You didn't even bother to get the full story before you burst into tears like that. Are you that dense?" For some reason, those words just made Cecilia feel even more wronged. She scooted closer to him on the sofa, her expression heart-wrenchingly vulnerable. "I didn't know. When I saw you with your cousin, I thought you didn't want me anymore. How could you think that?" Wyatt wrapped an arm around her, letting her lean her head against his shoulder. "You're such a dork." Cecilia sniffled, nuzzling her head against his shoulder. "I'll never doubt you again," she whispered, her voice soft and sweet. Wyatt pulled her tighter. "Kiss me right now, and I'll forgive you." "Really?" "Yeah." Cecilia lifted her head, slowly leaning in. Her lips landed on his cheek, leaving a faint, cool lipstick mark. Feeling the spot, Wyatt broke into a grin. "All right, you're forgiven." "No," Cecilia said, shaking her head, her face flushing a deep red. Under Wyatt's curious gaze, she parted her lips, a fragrant breath washing over his face as she spoke. "I need to kiss you again." For the first time, Cecilia initiated the kiss. Wyatt held her by the shoulders with one hand, his other wrapping around her waist as she slowly pressed him down onto the sofa. In the corner of the room, the small security camera silently swiveled to face a different direction. Several minutes passed before Cecilia remembered the camera. She shot a panicked look toward the corner, but it was too late. All she could do was pray her mother hadn't been watching the live feed. Wyatt followed her gaze to the camera. "Come on," he said. "Let's get out of here. We're going for a swim." Cecilia nodded, and they quickly headed for the community rec center. Perhaps because they were early, the pool was completely empty. Wyatt changed into his swim trunks and hopped in. After practicing all afternoon the day before, he had more or less mastered the basic movements. It didn't take long before he was able to swim a few yards at a time. With her mood having shifted from stormy to sunny, Cecilia couldn't help but praise him when she saw how quickly he was learning. Wyatt was the type to bask in any ray of sunshine. Hearing her compliments, he swam to the edge of the pool, slicked his wet hair back, and asked with a grin, "Pretty good, right?" "Amazing." "How amazing?" Cecilia crinkled her nose. "Just, sort of amazing," she huffed. Wyatt wasn't satisfied with that answer, but he didn't press it. Instead, he asked her to hand him a towel to wipe his face. Without thinking, Cecilia passed him her own towel. The moment he had it in his hand, he gave it a sharp tug. Before Cecilia could react, she was pulled off balance and tumbled into the water with a splash. Wyatt caught her the second she hit the water. She squirmed in his arms but couldn't break free. "What are you doing?" she demanded. Chill. Let go of me. Someone's going to come in. There's no one here. They were both in swimsuits, Wyatt shirtless. Cecilia didn't dare move a muscle. She could feel his body temperature rising rapidly. Someone's coming, she suddenly shouted. The distraction worked. As Wyatt's focus broke, Cecilia wriggled out of his grasp. She swam a few feet away, glanced down at a certain part of him that wasn't behaving, and then quickly turned her head, her face burning as she climbed out of the pool from the other side. By the time Wyatt finished his practice and got out, Cecilia had already changed back into her clothes. As he climbed out, she tossed a clean towel at him and muttered, "Wyatt, I'm hungry." Wyatt laughed. "I'm starving too. Why don't you swim a few more laps as an appetizer? And then I'll have you for the main course." "No way." Wyatt chuckled and stood up. "All right, wait here. I'm going to rinse off. Then I'm taking you out for a nice dinner." "Okay," Cecilia said. Watching him walk away, she smiled and muttered under her breath, "Jerk." That evening, they went out for Korean barbecue. By the time they got back, the sky was completely dark. After he parked the car, Cecilia unbuckled her seatbelt and asked, "Are you going to the workshop tomorrow?" "Yeah." "Can I come with you?" "Of course. I'll pick you up around 8:30. "Okay." Cecilia opened the door to get out. Wyatt suddenly remembered the package. He quickly opened the center console, pulled out the box he'd picked up earlier, and said, "Almost forgot. The package you had me get." Just as Cecilia reached for it, Wyatt playfully pulled it back. "So," he asked with a leer, "when are you going to wear it for me?" "To tomorrow," she stammered, snatching the box from his hand. She scrambled out of the car, rushed to the gate, and disappeared inside. Once Wyatt saw the lights flick on in the house, he drove away, a wide smile plastered on his face. The next morning, when Wyatt woke up, the house was empty. His parents, David and Sarah, his Aunt Riley, and his second aunt's family of 3, who were visiting from out of town, had all driven down to the countryside to visit his grandmother. Wyatt glanced at the note on the table, quickly brushed his teeth, and grabbed a bite to eat before driving over to Maple Creek Estates. The midsummer heat was already bearing down. Though it was only 8 o'clock, the sun was high in the sky. Getting into the car felt like stepping into a sauna. It took a few minutes for the AC to kick in and stop the sweat from beading on his forehead. He pulled up to the villa and honked twice. Cecilia came running out, her steps light and cheerful. She was wearing a light blue, floral print sundress and a wide-brimmed sun hat, looking like a perfect mix of fresh-faced innocence and high-class polish. She hopped into the passenger seat, buckled her seatbelt with a happy hum, and announced playfully, "Let's go." Yesterday's misunderstanding had made one thing crystal clear to Cecilia. She was completely, irrevocably in love with Wyatt. Before, their relationship was something she liked, but it lacked a tangible definition. After yesterday, she realized she couldn't imagine her life without him. Just as they pulled out of Maple Creek Estates, Wyatt said, out of the blue, "You lied to me again." Cecilia turned to him, her wide eyes filled with confusion. "What did I lie about?" "Last night," Wyatt said deadpan. "You said you'd wear it for me today." Cecilia hadn't expected him to bring that up. Her gaze darted to the windshield as she muttered, I am wearing it. You're clearly bare-legged. You're lying right to my face." "I am not." Wyatt's goading worked like a charm. Cecilia lifted a small section of her skirt. "Fine. Feel for yourself if you don't believe me." That was exactly what he'd been waiting for. The words were barely out of her mouth before his right hand was on her thigh, stroking it twice with unapologetic confidence before settling there for the rest of the drive. Only then did Cecilia realize she'd been tricked by that rotten jerk again. But this time, she didn't push his hand away. She just turned to look out the window, trying to distract herself. 20 minutes later, they pulled up to Vivien's workshop. After parking, Wyatt led Cecilia inside. It was a Monday, so the seamstresses were all there and working diligently. As Wyatt walked through the main floor, he greeted them warmly. "Morning, Brenda." "Morning, Mr. Evans." "Looking sharp today, Maria." "Ah, you think so?" One of the women piped up, "Mr. Evans, who's this lovely young lady?" Wyatt answered without hesitation, "My girlfriend." "You two are a perfect match." Now, Carol, I'm not so sure about that," Wyatt joked. "What do you mean a perfect match? Are you saying I'm not handsome on my own?" The room filled with laughter. Cecilia wasn't used to interacting with strangers and felt a little shy. She stuck close to Wyatt, her hand linked through his arm. Even though she was prepared for it, seeing the delicate, risque lingerie hanging on racks in the production area made her blush. Wyatt led her upstairs to the main office. He pulled a chair over and placed it next to his own desk. "It's a little cramped," he explained. "The boss lady and I have to share an office for now. But once we expand, we'll probably move into a bigger space." Just then, Hannah walked in from outside. Seeing Cecilia, she greeted her with a warm smile. "Can I get you something to drink? What would you like?" Just some water is fine. Thank you, Cecilia replied quickly. Wyatt turned on his computer and opened his email to deal with some business for investments back in New York. The Last Ember was getting great reviews, and its box office numbers were still climbing, so the studio had extended its theatrical run, which was fantastic news. On top of that, Travis Tang, the lawyer, had sent him a private message a few days ago confirming that he had decided to stay on with the firm. Wyatt was thrilled to have secured such an experienced legal mind for his company. After reading his emails, he began replying. His hands flew across the keyboard, his focus absolute. He had no idea that, as he worked, Cecilia was watching him from the side. She had rarely seen him so completely absorbed in a task. At that moment, she thought he was breathtakingly handsome. When Wyatt finished, he reached for his mug, found it empty, and was about to call for Hannah when Cecilia handed him the bottle of water she'd just been given. He took it and teased her. "You're not grossed out by me anymore? Just drink it." "Fair enough. We've already swapped spit. It's a little late to be squeamish now." Cecilia slapped him on the back. "Oh, shut up," she said, mortified. In the middle of their playful banter, Vivien pushed the door open. She was surprised to see Cecilia sitting next to Wyatt. "Cece, you're here," she said with a smile. Cecilia was too embarrassed to admit she had asked to come, so she threw Wyatt under the bus. "He insisted on bringing me." I've been telling him to bring you by for ages." The three of them chatted for a bit before Wyatt and Vivien had to go to a meeting. Vivien invited Cecilia to join, but she was too shy to accept. The meeting lasted half an hour. Afterwards, Wyatt and Vivien stayed in the office to discuss the company's future and sort out some details with their influencer marketing. The morning flew by. For lunch, the three of them ordered takeout. They stayed at the office until around 2 o'clock. Seeing that all the urgent work was done, Wyatt grabbed Cecilia and they left the workshop early. Sitting in the passenger seat, Cecilia asked, "Are we going home this early?" "Yep, I'm tired. Going home for a nap." Wyatt drove with practiced ease, but as they got closer to his neighborhood, Cecilia realized the route was wrong. "Where are you taking me?" "Home. Home. Yep." It clicked. She grabbed the sleeve of his t-shirt. "Wyatt, she stammered. Wyatt just grinned. "My parents are visiting my grandma. I've got the house to myself for a couple of days." "Oh." Cecilia quickly let go of his sleeve and sat back obediently. A moment later, she couldn't help but ask, "What did you say we were going home for again?" Wyatt leaned in close, a wicked smile on his face. "To sleep. Just the two of us." Wyatt's house was modest, nothing like the sprawling villa at Maple Creek Estates. When his parents had first bought it, the neighborhood was considered quite nice. But in recent years, with constant real estate development, new subdivisions had popped up, making his look a bit dated in comparison. Still, his mom, Sarah, was a meticulous housekeeper, so the inside was always spotless. Cecilia followed Wyatt into the living room, her eyes curiously scanning her surroundings. The first thing Wyatt did was go to his room, close the window, and turn on the air conditioner. She perched cautiously on the edge of the sofa. When Wyatt came and sat next to her, she still felt the need to ask, "Are you sure your parents won't come back unexpectedly?" "They won't," Wyatt said confidently. "They left me a note. Said they'd be at my grandma's for at least 2 days. My second aunt lives in Philadelphia and rarely gets to visit, so now that she's here, they'll definitely want to spend some extra time." "Your aunt is in Philly?" "Yeah, Sophie lives in Philadelphia, too." Wyatt leaned his head on Cecilia's shoulder. "Speaking of, what are your roommates up to this summer? I haven't seen much chatter in your group chat." "Isabelle went to Australia with her parents," Cecilia said. "Didn't you see her Instagram posts? Ashley's working at her aunt's boba shop, and Sophie's just been at home. She wants to travel, but doesn't feel comfortable going alone. I'll have to mention that to Leo. Maybe he could take a trip to Philly in August and take Sophie out for a few days." A memory popped into Cecilia's head, and she giggled. "You know, Leo is so sweet to Sophie." Right after winter break started, Sophie was having bad cramps and called him. He got so worried when he heard her in pain, he sounded like he was about to cry himself. Maybe he was on his period, too. Cecilia shot him a glare. Wyatt yawned and stood up. "Come on, let's go to sleep." Cecilia fidgeted, turning her head away. "No, I'm not tired." Wyatt grabbed her by the wrist and began pulling her towards his room. "It's hot out here. My room has AC." Before she could protest, he had pulled her inside and shut the door. Wyatt's room was small. A bed, a wardrobe next to it, and a desk at the foot of the bed. That was it. As Cecilia walked in, her eyes were drawn to the photos on the wall above his desk. Some were family pictures, but most were of Wyatt alone. The oldest one dated back to when he was just a year old, sitting on a wooden rocking horse in a diaper and a silly seashell-shaped hat, his cheeks rosy and chubby. It was unbelievably cute. That photo was his parents' favorite. His dad had used it as his phone's wallpaper for years until Wyatt finally begged him to change it. Cecilia pointed to one of the photos on the wall. Is this you two? Yeah, they're all me. You looked so silly when you were little. That's called adorable. Cecilia ignored him, pulling out her phone and snapping pictures of all his childhood photos. She grinned triumphantly. Next time you make me mad, I'm sending all of these to the group chat. I'm not scared, Wyatt shrugged. He was used to taking an afternoon nap in the summer and promptly lay down on the bed. Cecilia watched him, then pulled out the desk chair and sat for a moment. After a while, the room started to feel a little chilly. Dork, she finally asked, aren't you cold? No. Can you turn the temperature up? Wyatt got up and rummaged through both bedside tables. Huh, he muttered, feigning confusion. Where did I put the remote? I just had it. After being tricked so many times, Cecilia knew his little games all too well. She stomped her foot lightly, pouting. Stop pretending. You definitely hid it. You think I'm that easy to fool? Wyatt gave an awkward smile, stood up, and opened his wardrobe. He pulled the AC remote out of the pocket of a thick winter coat and adjusted the temperature to a more comfortable 78 degrees. He glanced at his watch. It's 2:30 now. We'll nap for an hour, go swimming at 4, and then dinner at 6. Perfect timing. And no funny business, she warned. I've always been an upstanding gentleman when it comes to my debauchery. I never do it sneakily. It's still debauchery, Cecilia thought. What's the difference? It wasn't her first time. Cecilia walked to the other side of the bed, kicked off her shoes, and lay down on her side, immediately pulling the covers over herself. Wyatt stood up and pulled the blackout curtains shut, plunging the room into darkness. He flopped onto his back and lay perfectly still, as if he'd fallen asleep instantly. After a while, with no sound or movement from his side of the bed, Cecilia wondered, is he really asleep? She slowly turned to look at him and saw that he was, in fact, fast asleep. A strange sense of disappointment washed over her. She pouted, thinking, so, I tell you no funny business, and you actually just go to sleep? You big dumb dork. What did you get so obedient? But then her face grew hot. Oh, Cecilia, what exactly were you hoping for? Her mind was a chaotic mess. She tossed and turned, unable to fall asleep. Just as she rolled onto her side again, a pair of strong hands wrapped around her waist from behind. With a gentle pull, he drew her tightly against him, her back pressed flush against his chest. A magnetic voice whispered in her ear. Be good. Stop moving. Sleep. Okay, she breathed. Cecilia froze, as if someone had hit a pause button. She was held fast in his embrace, the powerful arms around her waist chasing away all the chaotic thoughts from her mind. Her heart, which had been racing, gradually returned to a steady rhythm. The room fell quiet, the only sounds the distant hum of traffic and the chirping of cicadas in the trees outside. The afternoon slipped away. At 6 o'clock, a Honda Accord exited the highway. David, at the wheel, grumbled, You're unbelievable. You said we were staying at your mom's for 2 days. You always go back on your word. Sarah reached over and pinched his ear. Say that again. There are only 3 beds in that house. You tell me how we were all supposed to sleep? Sarah shot back. There are hotels on the street. A hotel room is $200 a night. For that price, we could pay for the gas to drive back and forth twice. We can just drive back again tomorrow. You're just trying to torture me, aren't you? Sarah reached over and pinched his ear. Say that again. Wyatt had actually woken up once in the middle of their nap. But the feeling of sleeping with the person he loved in his arms was too good to give up, so after waking, he had simply fallen asleep again. And that second nap lasted until just past 6 in the evening. When Cecilia opened her eyes, the room was still pitch black. She wasn't sure when she had turned over. She had started with her back to him, but now she was facing him, completely curled up in his embrace. Cecilia felt she was too close to him. She tried to inch away, but found his arms were still locked securely around her waist. She abandoned the idea. Seeing that he was still asleep, she carefully snuggled deeper into his arms, pressing her ear to his chest to listen to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. A thought bloomed in her mind. It would be so nice if I could fall asleep in his arms like this every day. The thought alone, even just in her own head, was enough to make her blush. She glanced at her watch and saw it was already past 6. Burying her face in his chest, she whispered, Dork. Dork. Wyatt smacked his lips and slowly opened his eyes, but his arms only tightened around her. It's past 6, she said immediately. But I don't want to get up. You have to. It'll be dark soon. Only then did Wyatt release her and sit up. Cecilia scrambled out of bed, quickly ran a hand through her messy hair, and then pulled open the curtains. As the late afternoon sun streamed in, Wyatt shielded his eyes. He saw Cecilia standing at the window, gazing outside. He got up, walked over, and wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his head on her shoulder. Cecilia shrugged slightly. You said we were going swimming this afternoon. Look, it's already past 6. It's fine. We'll have plenty of time for that later. I'm hungry. You're always the first one to say you're hungry, but then you barely eat anything. Wyatt lifted his head and grinned. Hey, don't move. Let me weigh you. Cecilia was wondering how he planned to do that when he suddenly bent down and swept her up into a princess carry. What are you doing? She yelped. So how much do you weigh now? Around 95. No way, Wyatt teased. You feel pretty heavy. I'd say at least 200 pounds. Hearing that, Cecilia balled up her fists and started pounding on his shoulder. You're lying. I've never weighed over 100 pounds in my life. Put me down. No. Wyatt carried her towards the bedroom door. What he didn't know was that Sarah and David had already walked up the stairs and were at the front door. Just as Wyatt reached out to turn his bedroom doorknob, the lock on the front door was being turned from the outside by his mother. Wyatt freed a hand to open his door. Fearing she would fall, Cecilia instinctively threw her arms around his neck. The exact moment Wyatt opened his door and stepped out carrying Cecilia, the front door was pushed open from the outside. Sarah and David stood frozen in the doorway, staring blankly at Wyatt and the girl in his arms. The couple, who had been bickering moments before, fell silent, their eyes wide with shock. Wyatt froze too. It took him a second to process the scene before he stammered. Mom? Being held in his arms, Cecilia finally noticed the two people standing in the doorway and realized they were Wyatt's parents. Ah, she shrieked, burying her face in Wyatt's chest out of pure reflex. Just as Sarah was about to speak, David quickly pulled the door almost shut, leaving only a small crack. Your mother and I will be back in 10 minutes, he said to the two inside. Just pretend you never saw us. The door slammed shut. David grabbed Sarah's arm and pulled her back downstairs. Wyatt set Cecilia down. Her face was the color of a ripe apple. She had never, ever imagined meeting Wyatt's parents like this. Oh my God, how could this happen? How could this happen? Cecilia felt like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole. She unleashed all her frustration on Wyatt, her small, pink fists raining down on him as she repeated, This is all your fault. All your fault. All your fault. Wyatt was just as baffled. The note clearly said they'd be gone for 2 days. Why were they back today? Mom, Dad, what the hell are you playing at? He grabbed her wrist to stop the assault. Okay, it's happened. We might as well just get the meeting over with. You're going to have to meet them eventually, right? My parents already know we're together. You should be glad they only saw us hugging. It would be a lot worse if they saw us sleeping together. Before he could finish, Cecilia slapped a hand over his mouth. Don't you say another word. After taking a moment to calm down, she asked urgently, Do you have a mirror? Wyatt pointed to the bathroom. Cecilia rushed in, saw her beet-red face, and immediately ran back to the bedroom to grab some wet wipes from her purse to cool her cheeks. 2 minutes later, she stood in the bathroom doorway and asked earnestly, Is this okay? You're beautiful even without makeup. Seeing she wasn't satisfied with that answer, Wyatt added, Maybe tie your hair up? It'll make you look more innocent. Without a second thought, Cecilia did as he suggested. Once she was ready, she sat on the sofa, wringing her hands, her nerves shot. Wyatt sat next to her, trying to joke around and ease her tension, but nothing worked. Outside the door, Sarah pressed her ear against it. I don't hear anything, she whispered. Can we go in now? David nodded, then quickly added, Don't talk so much this time. The poor girl was blushing the second she saw us. I know. Sarah straightened her clothes and knocked. Wyatt gently patted Cecilia's hand, stood up, and opened the door. He immediately launched into a tirade. What is wrong with you two? Didn't you say you were staying at Grandma's for 2 days? Why are you back tonight? There were too many people. Your grandmother's house was full. I can't believe you guys. Wyatt sighed, then gestured toward Cecilia. He cleared his throat and announced, Let me introduce you. This is your future daughter-in-law, Cecilia. Cecilia stood timidly behind him, her face flushed as she mumbled, Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. Sarah immediately rushed forward and took Cecilia's hand. A natural social butterfly, she quickly pulled Cecilia over to the sofa. Cecilia, you're even prettier in person. Is our Wyatt treating you well? If he ever gives you any trouble, you tell me. You hear? I'll set him straight for you. Have you two eaten yet? Why don't you stay for dinner? Honey, I've been there. When young people are dating, hugging and kissing is perfectly normal. I'm not some old fossil, so don't you be shy. You should come over more often. Wyatt watched from the side as his mother talked a mile a minute while Cecilia just kept nodding. He slapped a hand to his forehead. This is it, he thought. The unstoppable force of a social butterfly mother-in-law meets the immovable object of a socially anxious daughter-in-law. After about 20 minutes, Wyatt managed to rescue Cecilia. His parents had just gotten home, and if they stayed for dinner, who knew how long it would take? Besides, the formality would only make Cecilia more uncomfortable. He could already see she was on pins and needles, so he quickly made an excuse and pulled her out the door. Sarah was clearly not finished, her mind already drifting off to a happy retirement, spent babysitting future grandchildren. Once they were in the car, Wyatt immediately professed his innocence. I swear, I had no idea they were coming back today. Cecilia's mind was still a chaotic mess. She hadn't fully processed everything. She had imagined dozens of meet-the-parents scenarios, but none of them were anything like what had just happened. It was just so humiliating. They weren't home, so I just went over to his house with him, and his parents caught us. Thinking about it, Cecilia hammered Wyatt's arm with a dozen light punches before giving him a sharp twist for good measure. Wyatt just laughed. Hey, it's over now, and things turn out pretty well, don't you think? When you get home tonight, she said quickly, you have to tell them that you tricked me into going over. But it was the truth. Huh? Wyatt reached over and pinched her cheek before driving off to find a place to eat. By the time Wyatt finished dinner, dropped Cecilia off, and got back home himself, it was already 8:30. He had just sat down on the sofa when his parents flanked him on either side. Sarah was beaming. So, when are you bringing her over again? It was too rushed today. Otherwise, I would have insisted she stay for dinner. Mom, you're so intense. She'll be too scared to come back. Intense. Although Sarah hadn't heard the slang before, she could guess what it meant. She looked a little sheepish. Well, I was just excited. I promise I won't be like that next time. We'll see. There's plenty of time. David, however, asked a more serious question. So how far have you two gone? Wyatt grinned cheekily. Guess. You little brat. All right, I'm going to take a shower. And by the way, don't you dare tell anyone about Cecilia coming over today. If she finds out, I'll never be able to trick her into coming over again. My lips are sealed. I won't say a word. Ha, you think I believe that? David, Sarah called to her husband, your son is asking for it. The days started to fall into a familiar rhythm. Wyatt would pick Cecilia up every morning to go to the workshop together, and then in the mid-afternoon, they'd head to Maple Creek Estates so he could practice swimming. Before they knew it, it was the end of July. Once Miranda returned home, Cecilia felt too shy to go to work with Wyatt every day. Meanwhile, his Aunt Sharon's family, after spending a week at his grandmother's, had returned to Riverwood and were staying at a hotel not far from his house. Every evening, Wyatt would come home to find his second aunt chatting with his mom. His Aunt Riley would often come over too, and Mandy, that wild child cousin of his, had been clinging to him ever since he promised to buy her an iPad. She had even given him the nickname Pest. Wyatt, annoyed by her constant pestering, finally threw his hands up one night. Fine, I'll take you to buy it tomorrow. Just stop bothering me. When tomorrow? In the morning. Then I'll be over first thing. Wyatt couldn't be bothered with her. The next morning, he drove to the workshop by himself. By the time Andy showed up at his house, he was long gone. At the office, Vivien was looking at the month's revenue report. A smile stretched so wide it couldn't be contained. When Wyatt arrived, she immediately called him over and handed him the July numbers. Wyatt just glanced at the profit line in the bottom right corner. The number was more than 5 times last month's. He grinned. So, boss lady, am I a reliable general manager or what? Extremely reliable, huh? Vivien was now filled with excitement for the future. The feeling of improving her life and her business, bit by bit, through her own hard work was intoxicating. I'm heading to New York in mid-August, Wyatt said. You should start working on expanding our operations in the second half of the year. If you need money, just ask. You can consider a loan from me. Okay. They chatted for a bit before getting to their respective tasks. Around noon, Cecilia sent Wyatt a message saying Miranda was taking her to a spa that afternoon, so he shouldn't come looking for her. Wyatt wouldn't dare try to steal time from his mother-in-law, so he obediently replied with an okay. Wyatt spent the entire afternoon at his desk. After finishing his work, he started browsing online for news about the economy and the tech industry. Ever since founding Investments, he had paid special attention to these topics. At the same time, a well-built man was walking up the stairs, carrying a takeout container. It was none other than Vivien's brother, Peter. Just as he reached the office door, Hannah happened to come out of the e-commerce team's office. Seeing her, Peter quickly waved her over. Hannah, come here. I need to ask you something. Hannah walked over. What is it? She asked quietly. Peter glanced at his sister's closed office door and lowered his voice as well. Is my sister's business partner in the office? He is, Hannah said without thinking. They've been working in the same office all summer. A flicker of delight crossed Peter's face. He pressed, and how is their relationship now? It's great. Peter was even more pleased. He nodded. Good, I get it. You can go back to what you were doing. Though she found the exchange a bit odd, Hannah headed toward the finance office to pick up some documents she had just printed. Peter walked to the office door. He raised his hand, about to knock. Click! The door was pulled open from the inside. Wyatt, ready to leave for the day, opened the door and saw an unfamiliar man standing there. "Can I help you?" he asked, his brow furrowed. Peter was taken aback. He and Wyatt spoke at almost the same time. "Who are you?" Vivien looked out from her desk. "That's my brother," she explained quickly. Only then did Wyatt hurry to greet him. "Hey, Peter, good to meet you." Peter was still processing. Could it be? Is my sister's partner this young kid? Before he could ask, Wyatt had already greeted him and was walking out of the office. Peter watched him go, stunned. After a long moment, he walked into the office and asked, his voice full of curiosity, "Vivien, is that your partner?" "Yeah. What's wrong?" Peter handed the food to Vivien. He searched for the right words for a long moment before saying carefully, "He's so young. Don't you think it's a little inappropriate for you two?" Vivien didn't catch his meaning. "What's inappropriate about it?" she said, baffled. "Don't let his age fool you. He's very capable." Peter's jaw dropped. "He's very capable?" What kind of suggestive remark was that? Peter stared at Vivien, his expression screaming, "Sis, how could you say something like that?" The words had just tumbled out of Vivien's mouth. It was the first compliment for Wyatt that had come to mind. She didn't notice her brother's changing expression. While eating the food he brought, she was still chattering away. "Did your wife make this? It's so much better than Mom's cooking." Peter was in no mood to discuss food. He pulled up a chair and sat across from her, his face etched with worry. "Vivien, so how old is he?" 20, I think." "Only 20? Vivien looked up at her brother, frowning. "Bro, why are you asking so many questions?" I'm just concerned about you." Vivien went back to her food. "I'm in my 30s, she said, her mouth full. "I don't need you to be concerned. I can make my own decisions." "Hey, do you know how much money I made this month?" Peter didn't care about that. His family had always been well off. His parents were comfortable, and while his salary as a deputy police chief wasn't extravagant, it was more than enough to support his family. Not to mention, his father-in-law was a senior executive at a major oil company. Their finances were solid. His parents were getting older by the year, and Vivien was well into the age bracket of a bachelorette. The entire family's most pressing concern was solving Vivien's single status. "I don't care how much you made, but you'd better think long and hard about you and that kid. I admit, he's handsome, but there's a huge age difference. They say an older woman is more mature, but you're a whole generation older than him. If you two get together, even if the family doesn't say anything, other people will definitely gossip. These days." Vivien looked up, her eyes wide with disbelief. Peter frowned. "What are you looking at me for? I'm your brother. Of course I'm going to think about these things more carefully than you do." "Bro, what are you talking about?" "I'm talking about you. Don't play dumb." "No," Vivien said, putting down her chopsticks. "What do you mean, more mature? Get together? What nonsense are you spouting?" Peter was confused. "You're not dating that kid?" "Dating him." Vivien laughed, half in anger, half in amusement. "Bro, are you crazy? I'm old enough to be his aunt. He's just my business partner, that's it. Besides, he already has a girlfriend." "Bro, I swear you're a grown man. How can you say such ridiculous things?" Peter thought it over for a moment, then let out a sigh of relief. "Okay, so I was overthinking it. But you can't blame me. All I ever think about is your happiness. When are you finally going to start dating someone? If you bring this up again, you can stop bringing me dinner." Peter heaved a long sigh. "You know, at this point, I'd almost rather you were dating that kid. At least you'd be settled down." "Bro, fine, I'll stop. I'll stop." After work, Wyatt didn't go straight to Maple Creek Estates. Instead, he pulled in the parking lot of an Apple store. Once inside, he sent Mandy a message. "Wyatt, which model iPad do you want?" Mandy, lounging on her hotel bed, quickly replied. "Mandy, stop messing with me, you pest." "Mandy, I'm not falling for it again." Wyatt rolled his eyes and started a video call. Mandy answered skeptically. When she saw that Wyatt was, in fact, standing in an Apple store, her face lit up. "I want the iPad Air 2. The first-generation iPad Pro would be released in another month or so. But for now, aside from the Mini 3, the Air 2 was the latest model." Wyatt was a man of his word. While still on the video call, he flagged down an employee. Without even asking the price, he had them box one up. After paying, he held it up for the camera. "I'm heading to your cousin-in-law's place now. I'll be back around 8. You wait for me at my house, got it? You bet." Seeing that Wyatt had actually bought her the iPad, Mandy's attitude did a complete 180. She immediately changed his contact name from Pest to Cousin Wyatt. Leaving the store, Wyatt stopped at a gong cha next door and bought 2 lemonade iced teas and a hot mango black tea. When he arrived at Cecilia's, she and Miranda had just gotten home themselves. Wyatt handed the hot tea to Cecilia and one of the iced teas to Miranda. Fresh from her spa treatment, Miranda was looking radiant. She took the drink with a smile. Are you two eating here tonight, or going out? I'm good with whatever. Wyatt nudged Cecilia with his elbow. Cecilia took a sip of her warm tea, thinking, why'd you nudge me? And nudge him right back. Miranda saw the whole exchange. So now you're flirting right in front of your mother, are you? All right then. Noodles it is, Miranda declared. Okay, Cecilia said obediently. Wyatt nodded along. Then, he had an idea. Hey, since tomorrow's the weekend, why don't we have a barbecue here at the house? Cecilia immediately looked to Miranda for approval. Miranda agreed readily. That sounds fun, but I have no idea how to grill. Don't worry, Wyatt said. I do. Miranda stood up to go to the kitchen to start the noodles. She got to the doorway and remembered the dining room chandelier had a burnout bulb. She turned to Cecilia. Cece, use my phone to call maintenance. Tell them we have a light bulb out and need someone to come change it. Just as Cecilia reached for the phone, Wyatt cut in. It's just a light bulb. I can do it. Cecilia looked at him skeptically. Are you sure? Anyone with hands can do it, he said, sounding slightly offended. Wyatt got a new bulb from Miranda, then dragged a chair onto the kitchen island. In less than a minute, he had swapped out the bulb. Try the switch. Okay. Cecilia flipped it, and the dead light on the chandelier flickered to life. Wyatt tossed the old bulb in the trash and dusted off his hands with a grin. See? Told you it was easy. You didn't believe me. Don't get cocky. Go wash your hands. From the doorway, Miranda listened to them banter. She suddenly had the feeling that Wyatt was already a part of the family. Smiling to herself, she added water to the pot and began to look forward to the life Wyatt and Cecilia would have after they were married. On the sofa, Cecilia asked in a low voice, Dork, are you going to invite my dad over tomorrow night? Nope. Wyatt crossed his arms, his tone self-righteous. Your dad already offended me last time. I'm not doing him any more favors. Hearing this, Cecilia quickly placed her hand on his arm and gave it a few gentle pushes, her voice turning wheedling. Oh, come on, don't be so petty. Then you have to kiss me. My mom's right there. She's in the kitchen. She can't see. Cecilia glanced toward the kitchen, then quickly leaned in and planted a quick kiss on his cheek, leaving behind a faint, strawberry-flavored lip print. When Wyatt got home, his second aunt's family was still there. Seeing him walk in, Mandy, who had been sitting, immediately jumped to her feet, her eyes glued to the bag in his hand. Wyatt walked over and handed it to her. Now, stop bothering me. Thanks, cousin. Mandy eagerly pulled the iPad out of the box, practically vibrating with excitement. Her tone was suddenly as sweet as sugar. His aunt, who had been chatting with Sarah, saw the tablet in Mandy's hands and frowned. Wyatt, why did you buy her an iPad? I promised her I would. That's not right. You're still in college yourself. How can you buy Mandy something so expensive? It's fine, it didn't cost that much. Wyatt sat down on the sofa. I've started my own business now, and it's actually doing pretty well. He figured he'd give the family a little heads up, so they wouldn't be completely blindsided when they eventually found out he was a multimillionaire. But that only made his aunt more curious. Wyatt, what kind of business are you running? It started with a fresh market, and when I made some money from that, I started a commerce company specializing in vending machines. A classmate of mine had resources in that area, so the company took off. I've since sold the market, and I'm not involved with the vending machines anymore. Now I'm using the money I earned to make some investments. Wyatt's explanation left his family stunned. A student, not even a sophomore, achieving that level of business success. The word outstanding didn't seem to cover it. Sarah and David said nothing, but inwardly, they were bursting with pride. His aunt was full of praise, while Wyatt humbly attributed it all to good luck. Mandy sat to the side, activated her new iPad, and then came over to ask for the Wi-Fi password. Wyatt used it as an excuse to get up and escape to his room, ending the conversation. Since the router was in his room, Mandy followed him in to download her apps and didn't leave. Her younger brother, Max, had also snuck his mom's phone and was sitting in the corner of Wyatt's room, playing the newly released Arena of Valor. Wyatt, scrolling through his phone, asked casually, Mandy, since you're an art student, does that mean you have to start your university auditions early next year? Yeah, I'll have to travel to a lot of different places. For New York, you'll probably be auditioning for Giuliard, right? Mandy nodded. Let me know in advance when you and your mom are coming to the city, Wyatt said. My girlfriend's school is really close to Giuliard. I know the area well. Mandy turned around. Which university does your girlfriend go to? The Thornton School of Music at USC. Mandy was shocked. She's an art student, too? Wyatt nodded. Yep. Can you give me her number? I could ask her some questions about the audition process to prepare. Wyatt thought for a moment. Tomorrow, I'm taking you, Riley, and my girlfriend grocery shopping. You can ask for her number then. Okay, that works. The next day, Wyatt slept in, not getting out of bed until 10. Since it was the weekend, his parents were home, and both his aunt's families had come over early. When Wyatt emerged after washing up, he saw his mom was already about to start cooking lunch. "Mom," he said quickly, "I'm taking Mandy and Riley out to eat. Don't make too much. Your dad and I bought a ton of groceries today. Why are you eating out? I have a date with your future daughter-in-law." That was all it took. Sarah immediately relented. "Are you coming back for dinner?" "Nope. Drive safe." "Don't worry." Having been bribed, Mandy was more than happy to go out with Wyatt, and Riley was even easier to persuade. The moment Wyatt said he was taking them out for lunch, she was by his side, ready to go. Wyatt ate 2 boiled eggs to tide him over, then took his 2 younger cousins to Maple Creek Estates. Cecilia was already waiting. When she heard the honk outside, she came running out. Wyatt rolled down the window. "I'm dying of thirst, and we're out of water. Can you grab me a bottle?" "Oh, okay." Cecilia opened the passenger door, tossed her bag inside, and ran back into the house. She returned with several bottles of water, handing one to Wyatt and the other 2 to Riley and Mandy in the back. Mandy took the bottle and said immediately, "Thanks, cousin-in-law." "Cousin-in-law?" Cecilia froze for a second, then quickly hopped into the passenger seat, her heart suddenly beating faster. Wyatt chuckled. "Mandy, if you keep being this sweet, when you get into college, I'll buy you the whole apple suite. You promise?" "Of course. Cousin-in-law, you have to be my witness." Cecilia, flustered, managed to say, "Oh, okay." Now Riley was unhappy. She leaned forward, pouting. "Wyatt, that's not fair. You've never bought me such an expensive gift. If you get into a top-tier school like Princeton, I'll buy you whatever you want." "Why Princeton?" Realizing his slip-up, Wyatt quickly backtracked. "I mean, any school as good as Princeton will do." Mandy struck up a conversation with Cecilia. "Cousin-in-law, my cousin said you're an art student, too." "I am. I'm preparing for my art school auditions. Can I get your number? I might have some questions for you later." "Of course." With the 2 chatterboxes in the car, Wyatt couldn't get a word in edgewise. After lunch, he took the 3 of them to Target. They bought lamb, beef, and pork belly, having the butcher cut it all into small pieces. They didn't forget the vegetables either: eggplant, enoki mushrooms, bok choy, and of course some processed favorites like hot dogs and sausages. The 4 of them spent over an hour in the store. When they had finally gathered everything, Wyatt picked up the lightest bag for himself and handed the 2 heavier ones to Mandy and Riley. They both groaned as they took the bags. "This is so heavy. Wyatt, trade with me," Riley pleaded. Seeing she was struggling, Wyatt relented and swapped bags with her. As he headed for the escalator, Mandy hurried after him. "Cousin, are we having a barbecue tonight?" "Not we. Me and your cousin-in-law." Then why did you bring us?" "I needed hired muscle. How was I supposed to carry all this by myself?" At that, Mandy and Riley's faces fell. Seeing their crestfallen expressions, Cecilia immediately punched Wyatt's arm. She then smiled at the 2 girls. "Don't listen to him. We're all having it together tonight. Cousin-in-law, you're the best." Mandy instantly switched allegiances. "Seriously, I have no idea what you see in my cousin." Cecilia spread her hands in a gesture of mock helplessness. "I guess I'm blind," she joked. Wyatt, seeing that both Mandy and Riley had sided with Cecilia, laughed in exasperation. "Great. So you 3 are a team now, and I'm the bad guy." "You are," the 3 of them shouted in unison. On the way back, Wyatt made a quick stop at a secondhand market. He found a foldable barbecue grill, not too big and not too small, that fit perfectly in the trunk. The car made its way back to Maple Creek Estates. As Mandy took in the surroundings, she couldn't help but sigh. "Wow, it's so nice here. I wish I could live in a house this big someday." "You can keep dreaming," Wyatt said. "Right now, your job is to get your grades up. You're so annoying." "Cousin-in-law, don't you think he's obnoxious when he uses that grown-up tone of voice?" Cecilia laughed. "Just ignore him." Wyatt parked in the garage. After he had Mandy and Riley carry everything inside, they all walked into the living room. Riley had been here many times before, but Mandy, who hadn't stayed long last time, felt a little shy being there formally. "You're back." Miranda stood up with a smile and walked over. "Why did you buy so much?" "There's more in the trunk," Wyatt said. "I wasn't planning on bringing these 2, but they insisted on coming." "What could I do?" Mandy seized the opportunity and chirped, "Hello, Andy." "It's fine. The more the merrier." Miranda then instructed, "You 2, go get the grill from the car." Just as Riley was about to go, Cecilia stopped her. "It's too heavy for her." "You go get it," she told Wyatt. "Fine." Mandy giggled. "Cousin-in-law, where's your bathroom?" Cecilia pointed, and Mandy scurried off. Miranda heard the cousin-in-law and froze for a second. It wasn't that she had a problem with the title. She was just curious why her daughter had no reaction to it at all. Could it be she's already gotten used to it? Wyatt set up the grill in the backyard. Some of the food still needed prepping. Acting as if he owned the place, Wyatt tied on an apron and carried the ingredients into the kitchen. A few moments later, he called out, "Cece, come help me." Coming. Cecilia hurried into the kitchen. Miranda watched this scene with a mixture of amusement and exasperation. She and Charles had only one daughter, and they had spoiled her rotten her entire life. Forget cooking. She had barely even set foot in the kitchen. And now, Wyatt calls, and she runs. "Oh, Cecilia," she thought, "you're not even married yet." In the kitchen. "How can I help? Just wash all of this." Cecilia decided she could handle that. She put on an apron and got busy at the sink. But the vent from the central air was blowing directly on her, sending strands of her hair flying everywhere. "Door, what? I have a hair tie in my pocket. Can you tie my hair back for me? My hands are wet." Wyatt put down his knife, wiped his hands, and walked up behind her. He reached into her pants pocket, fished out a hair tie, and quickly gathered her hair into a ponytail. His eyes lingered on the curve of her neck and her delicate ears, which seemed to glow under the recessed lighting. "You look really beautiful today," he murmured. Cecilia smiled. "Oh, stop it. I'm serious. Hey, get back to work. It'll be dark soon. It's still early." With that, his mischievous hands wrapped around her slim waist from behind. Cecilia quickly squirmed. "Get off," she hissed. "My mom is right outside." Only then did Wyatt return to his workstation. While prepping the food, he asked, "Cece, can I ask you something?" "Go ahead. Can you stop calling me dork all the time? It's fine when we're alone, but when other people are around, it makes me lose face." "What should I call you then?" Wyatt grinned. "Let's just skip to the good part. You can call me honey." Cecilia's hands paused. She pursed her lips. "In your dreams." "Not happening." "All right. I'm not in a hurry anyway." Cecilia shot back. "So, when are you going to invite my dad over?" "I'll do it when everything's ready." "And what's your excuse going to be?" Wyatt smiled. "Did you notice there was one thing we forgot to buy today?" "What?" "Drinks." He explained, "Once we have everything ready, I'll just call your dad and tell him to bring some drinks over." Perfectly reasonable, right? MHM. If I were your dad, I'd bring a couple bottles of wine, too. Get completely wasted so he can stay the night. Your mom, no matter what, couldn't just let him sleep in the yard. One night leads to another, and then getting back together will be just around the corner. But your dad is pretty clueless about this stuff. He's definitely not as smart as me. Your dad is the one who's clueless. Hey, you know that too. My dad just has too much pride. He can't bring himself to be vulnerable. Not everyone is as shameless as you. I can take that from other people, but from you? Aren't you afraid I'll get upset? Nope. You're just taking advantage of the fact that I like you. TCH. Wyatt grabbed a handful of bamboo skewers, walked up behind her, placed one hand in front of her neck, and held up the skewers with the other. He let out a theatrical, villainous laugh. "My dear, you've been kidnapped. Say, I love you right now, and I'll let you go." He thought she would play along, but Cecilia didn't follow the script. She bent her head and bit down on his arm. Wyatt wasn't one to lose out. As she bit him, he leaned down and bit her on the neck. "Get off, or I'll hit you." "Have mercy, milady. Why are you soaking the skewers in water? If you soak them, they won't burn on the grill later. Otherwise, the meat will be cooked but the stick will be charcoal." "Oh, I see. Are we swimming tomorrow afternoon?" "Yep. I bet you can't swim faster than me now." "No way. I'm your teacher, remember? I taught you everything you know. Haven't you heard of the student surpassing the master?" "Nope. Want to race tomorrow." "You're on. So tomorrow, can you wear a swimsuit that I pick out for you?" "No, just once." "I won't. Do you think if I get drunk tonight, your mom will let me sleep over?" "Definitely not." "What if I stop calling her auntie and just call her mom?" "Think she'll go for it?" "Definitely not." "I think she would." "Want to bet?" "If I win, you have to kiss me 10 times. If you win, I'll let you kiss me 10 times. Only a psycho would take that bet. At dusk, the sun sank toward the horizon, its remaining half painting the western clouds in fiery reds. The green maple leaves lining the road rustled in the gentle breeze, a moment of peace unique to a smaller city. After they prepped everything in the kitchen, Wyatt called Mandy and Riley to help carry it all out to the backyard. He set up the grill, lit the smokeless charcoal, and sat down to wait for it to heat up. Miranda brought out a few glasses of iced lemonade and sat down with them. It was rare for her house to be so lively. At the office, she was constantly on the go, with no time for leisure. At home, she was usually cooped up, often dealing with work emails. When she was younger, she had enjoyed being alone. But now, she found she preferred the bustle of company. Even if she couldn't join in the young people's conversations, just seeing their smiling faces brought her a sense of joy. Cecilia saw the smile on her mother's face and shot Wyatt a meaningful look. He pulled out his phone, snapped a picture of the grill, and sent it directly to Charles. Charles received the image and immediately zoomed in. He recognized the backyard of his Maple Creek Estates villa instantly. He shot to his feet, ready to grab his keys and rush over. But Wyatt's second message came through right away. "Wyatt, bring some drinks on your way." Charles replied with a crisp, "Okay," and was out the door. After sending the message, Wyatt gave Cecilia an okay sign. She nodded and pointed to the charcoal in the grill. "Is it ready now?" Wyatt stood up to look. "Watch and learn," he said with a grin. "Chef Wyatt is on the job." "Whatever." With practice skill, Wyatt brushed the metal grate with oil to prevent the meat from sticking. Then he grabbed a large handful of pork belly skewers and spread them evenly across the grill. When you eat out, you get a tiny bit of meat on each skewer. But at home, you could load them up as much as you wanted. Plus, the biggest benefit was that it was much more sanitary. The charcoal was glowing red. The skewers had barely been on the grill for a minute before they started to sizzle, fat dripping down. Wyatt used a brush to spread the oil evenly while sprinkling on barbecue seasoning. The rich aroma of grilled meat instantly filled the yard. Mandy and Riley stood across from him, watching the nearly cooked food, their mouths already watering. "Smells so good." With everyone watching, Wyatt picked up a skewer, blew on it to cool it down, and held it out to Cecilia's mouth. "Taste it." Cecilia crinkled her nose. "Are you using me as your guinea pig?" "Trust me," he coaxed. Only then did she lean in and take a small bite. After chewing for a moment, her eyes lit up with surprise. "It's delicious." Wyatt quickly took the rest of the skewers off the grill, placed them on a plate, and brought it to Miranda. "Let the girls eat first." "It's fine. Annie, you try it first. There's plenty more." Miranda finally reached for a skewer, but after taking one, she called Mandy and Riley over. Wyatt returned to his post as grill master. Cecilia held up the washed enoki mushrooms. "How do you cook these?" "There's a grill basket. Just put them in there. They cook really fast." "I want that then. Hang on, little glutton. It'll be ready in a second." About 10 minutes later, Charles arrived. He could hear the laughter from the yard as he approached the gate. Finding it unlocked, he pushed it open and walked in. The group in the yard looked up as he entered. Cecilia quickly made the introductions. "This is my dad." Mandy and Riley chimed in with a "Hello, sir." "Hello." Charles walked over. Miranda saw the 2 bottles of soda in his hand and knew it must have been Wyatt or Cecilia who called him. Not wanting to spoil the peaceful atmosphere, she broke character and didn't say a word, only giving a quiet instruction. "Go inside and get some cups." Charles couldn't have been more obedient, practically skipping into the house. As the sun set, the sky darkened. But the neighborhood streetlights were bright, and several low-to-the-ground lights in the yard cast an elegant glow. Wyatt, standing by the grill, was sweating profusely, wiping his forehead every few minutes. Eventually, he gave up and called Cecilia over to do it for him. Charles saw this and felt a hot spike of jealousy. His precious daughter had never wiped his sweat for him like that. This kid is too damn lucky. Unable to watch, Charles averted his gaze, only for it to land on Miranda's face. Miranda was enjoying the relaxed, happy moment. Unlike Charles, she found the sight of her daughter helping Wyatt to be sweet and heartwarming, and a gentle smile played on her lips. Charles rarely saw Miranda smile. At that moment, he was completely captivated. Until, "What are you looking at? Is there something on my face?" Miranda had noticed him staring and called him out. Charles, a man respected by everyone at the bank, could only reply weakly, "Nothing." Wyatt was dying inside. If I were Charles, he thought, I would have said, "Yeah." "Charles, oh Charles, you deserve to be single." Wyatt noticed there were still a lot of skewers left on the table. He took a break, munching on a skewer and sipping an iced Coke, feeling perfectly content. "Wyatt," Miranda asked, "how is that movie you invested in doing?" They extended the theatrical run. Based on current projections, the box office might hit close to 150 million. 150 million? Charles asked, shocked. "So how much will you make from that investment?" Wyatt glanced at Mandy and Riley before answering. "About 5 million. That much?" Wyatt nodded. "I didn't expect the market reaction to be this good. But with this capital, the company can expand into more areas." Mandy, listening from the side, was stunned. When Wyatt finished speaking, she finally found her voice. "Cousin, you made $5 million. Keep it a secret for now. Don't cause any trouble for me." Hearing this, Miranda felt a twinge of regret. She had assumed Wyatt's family already knew. She didn't realize he had been keeping it under wraps. If she had known, she wouldn't have asked in front of Mandy and Riley. But then again, to make that much money and still have the self-control not to show it off. There probably weren't many people Wyatt's age who could do that. At that thought, Miranda smiled again. Turns out my daughter's taste is better than mine. Mandy was floored. $5 million. Riley was young and didn't have a firm grasp of what that number meant, but Mandy was almost an adult. She knew exactly how massive that sum of money was. Her annoying cousin was that successful. No wonder he could land such an amazing girlfriend. No wonder even his girlfriend's mom liked him so much. Oh my God, a multimillionaire is sitting right here, and he's my cousin. Mandy felt like her entire world had just been rebooted. When she looked at Wyatt now, he even seemed more handsome. All her previous negative impressions of him vanished in a thin air. Wyatt continued the conversation. I'm probably heading back to New York around the middle of this month. There are some things at the company I need to handle. I'll come back to pick up Cece right before school starts. Charles finally did something right. If you don't have time, I could drive Cece to school. No, thank you. Before he had even finished, Cecilia shook her head. Dad, we've already made plans. You don't need to take me. Cecilia, after speaking, realized her words might have hurt her father. She immediately turned her head away, too embarrassed to look at him. Wyatt saw her expression and reached out to tease her. When she saw his hand coming, she slapped it away. But Wyatt was relentless, acting like he was going to touch her thigh again, just as he had before. With so many people around, Cecilia wasn't about to let him get away with it, and the two of them started to playfully wrestle. Miranda glanced over, then turned her gaze away. Charles's eyes were wide with fury. You little punk, try to take advantage of my daughter right in front of me. He picked up a plate of leftover skewers. Wyatt, he ordered in a low voice, these are cold. Go heat them up. Before Wyatt could reply, Miranda cut in. They're not inedible. Stop being so picky. Wyatt could see the jealousy in his future father-in-law's eyes. He chuckled to himself. Old man, you can't even handle this? Just you watch. I'll give you something really outrageous. With that thought, Wyatt lifted the hem of his t-shirt. This stain must have been from the grill, right? Cecilia looked at the smudge on his shirt and nodded. Probably. Smell it and see if it has a scent. If it's grease, it'll be hard to wash out. Cecilia didn't think twice. She leaned in to smell it, but just as her head got close, Wyatt dipped his down and kissed her on the forehead. The entire sequence was seamless. Charles was dumbfounded. Traitor. You traitor. But what about Cecilia? After being kissed, she just pouted and gave Wyatt a gentle tap on the arm with her fist. Her reaction told him everything. This was not the first time Wyatt had kissed his daughter. At that thought, Charles suddenly felt like he couldn't breathe. Wyatt didn't leave until after 9. They had sat in the yard, grilling and chatting until past 8, then spent 20 minutes cleaning up, and finally talked for another half hour in the living room. On the way back, Mandy once again turned into a chatterbox. Cousin, what do your cousin-in-law's parents do? Cousin, when did you start your investment company? Cousin, what movie did you invest in? Was it that super popular one, The Last Ember? Wyatt couldn't take it anymore. What are you? An interrogation, he said, exasperated. Where do you get all these questions? I'm just curious. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask, and don't say what you shouldn't say. If you two listen to me, you'll be rewarded later. If you don't, well, you'll face the consequences. Riley was the first to pledge her loyalty. Wyatt, I promise I won't say a word. Mandy chimed in. My lips are sealed too. Aside from true family and close friends, most people don't want to see you do better than them. Wyatt figured he would keep his success a secret for as long as he could. When he couldn't hide it anymore, he'd lay all his cards on the table. He had already laid the groundwork, anyway. Truthfully, after making his first big score in the stock market, the thrill of making money wasn't as intense as it used to be. To others, making $5 million on a single project was incredibly exciting. But Wyatt himself was calm. He had anticipated this outcome from the very beginning. Cousin, where's your company? New York. How many employees? About 10. So what are your hobbies? Looking at art. Huh, just kidding. I like to listen to music in my free time. I knew it. There's no way you'd like. Before Mandy could finish, Wyatt grinned. Yeah, how could someone like me like listening to music? Wyatt dropped Mandy off at her hotel. After getting a text from her, he drove Riley home and finally returned to his own house alone. His parents were sitting on the sofa watching TV. Wyatt took a quick shower, then came out and sat down. His dad patted his thigh. Where did you eat dinner? At my mother-in-law's. You'd better be on your best behavior at her house. Don't let your girlfriend's parents look down on you. Of course not. I'm as comfortable at her house as I am at my own. You little braggart. Dad, you don't believe me? His mom remembered something. Son, they're selling new condos over by South Lake Park. Should we go take a look sometime? What? You guys are buying me a house. We have to buy one sooner or later. You can't still be living with us two old folks after you get married. We'll see. There's no rush. The good floors sell out fast. If you wait, you won't be able to get one. Don't you two worry about a house. Who knows? Maybe I'll be buying a villa in a mansion district in the future. His mom laughed. Then you can buy it yourself? Your dad and I don't have that kind of money. Wyatt casually slung an arm around his dad's shoulders. Don't worry, he said. I'm going to make lots and lots of money. The three of them chatted for a while. Around 10 o'clock, they all went to their rooms. Lying in bed, Wyatt called Leo. Yo, Leo, get ready. I'm heading back to New York mid-month, and you're coming with me. I'll drop you off in Philadelphia. What? My girlfriend told me Sophie wants to go traveling. If you bring it up, she'll probably agree to go with you. Bro, you're my real bro. I'll have finance settle your summer pay early. If you need more money, just ask me. Dad, you are my real dad. Paul happened to be walking past his son's room and heard that last part. He walked in and smacked Leo on the back of the head. Come on, you tell me. Besides me, how many other dads do you have? Leo was speechless. Dad, I was just joking with Wyatt. Wyatt quickly added, Uncle Paul, I didn't ask him to call me that. He did it on his own. Hearing Wyatt's voice, Paul finally left the room. Leo got up, locked the door, and continued. By the way, Wyatt, lately when I'm chatting with Sophie, I keep running out of things to say. What should I do? When you're talking to a girl, you need to use more question marks. Question marks? For example, if she asks, have you eaten? And you just say, yeah, how is she supposed to reply to that? But if you say, I have, what about you? Then she can answer you easily, right? Whoa, I think I get it. Okay, I'm hanging up. I have to video call my girlfriend. Okay. The last 2 weeks of August flew by in a blur. Aunt Sharon's family had stayed in Riverwood until the 5th, then went to see the Blue Ridge Mountains for a week before taking an Amtrak back to Philadelphia the day before yesterday. Mandy, who had been so disdainful of Wyatt when she first arrived, was now all Cousin Wyatt this, Cousin Wyatt that. She even made him promise to meet up in New York when she came for her art school auditions next spring. Wyatt, of course, agreed. On the 15th, just after 7 in the morning, Wyatt pulled up to Leo's building. Paul and Helen Sheen saw his car and rushed out of their small convenience store, stuffing a few bottles of vitamin water in the backseat before yelling upstairs for Leo to come down. Wyatt, drive safe. Helen called out. Don't worry. Leo tossed his suitcase into the trunk, hopped into the passenger seat, and waved them off impatiently. All right, stop nagging. I'm not a 3-year-old. Half an hour on the state roads, and they merged smoothly onto the interstate. Leo was buzzing with excitement. It was his first real vacation, and he was going with Sophie. He'd barely slept the night before, but was still running on pure adrenaline. He tapped out a couple of messages on his phone to Sophie. We're on our way. Should get there around 2 p.m. Sophie felt a knot of nervousness when she saw the messages. She told her parents she was going on a trip with her college roommates, conveniently leaving out the part about having a boyfriend. The thought of spending the next few days eating, living, and sleeping in close proximity to Leo sent a little shiver of apprehension through her. Okay, I'll wait for you at the Philly station, she replied. Leo relayed the message to Wyatt, who asked casually, have you guys decided where you're going? She wants to go to New Orleans. New Orleans? That's like a 20-hour train ride. I might as well just drive you to JFK, and you can fly from there. Aren't plane tickets super expensive? Leo asked. Check it. They probably won't be too bad this time of year. Leo quickly searched on his phone. His eyes widened. Whoa, it's only $100 more than the train ticket. Then tell Sophie I'll just drop you guys at JFK. Okay. Leo quickly texted Sophie, who agreed the new plan made much more sense. The highway was clear, and just as the GPS predicted, Wyatt pulled up to Philadelphia's 30th Street station at 2 o'clock sharp. Sophie was already waiting by the curb with her suitcase. The moment the car stopped, Leo jumped out, eagerly grabbing her bag and stowing it in the back. Seeing Sophie get into the rear seat, he quickly slid in beside her. Wyatt made a U-turn and got back on the highway. After a while, he glanced in the rearview mirror at the two silent figures in the back. What's with you two? He asked with a laugh. What do you mean? It's been almost half an hour since you got in the car, and neither of you has said a word. Anyone who didn't know better would think you were total strangers. Wyatt's comment only made things more awkward. Finally, Sophie broke the silence. Wyatt, why didn't you bring Chloe with you? School doesn't start for another 2 weeks. I came to the city early to handle some company stuff. I have to go back at the end of the month to pick her up anyway. Oh, I see. Sophie, Wyatt said, his eyes twinkling in the mirror. Yeah. This is Leo the goofball's first big trip. You look after him, right? Sophie was speechless. Leo immediately shot back. Hey, if you don't have anything nice to say, just shut up. Wyatt just laughed and didn't press it. He turned on the car's Bluetooth, cranked up the music, and focused on driving. In the back, Leo and Sophie finally started whispering to each other. There was a flight to New Orleans at 6:30 p.m. Wyatt dropped them off outside JFK, then drove straight to the office. During the summer break, aside from the last Ember project, things at the company had been quiet. A 9 to 6, Monday to Friday schedule with the boss out of town. It was the dream for any employee. When Wyatt arrived, he didn't see Rachel at the front desk and assumed everyone had already gone home. But a few steps inside, he found her in the finance office, gossiping with Cheryl, Fiona, and Jessica. Wyatt cleared his throat loudly. The group in the office glanced up. Seeing Wyatt, Rachel quickly scurried out, her head bowed in embarrassment. Mr. Evans, you're back. Wyatt grinned. What was so interesting? Rachel shook her head frantically. Nothing. Chris, hearing the commotion from his office next door, poked his head out. You're finally back. How's it feel to be on TV? It's whatever. It was a local station in a small town. Barely anyone saw it. Well, you're a big deal at school now. The school subreddit was blowing up about you for days. Carter's still around, right? Yeah. Any entrepreneurs come knocking while I was gone? A few, but no solid projects. Wyatt followed Chris into Carter Lou's office. Carter handed him a stack of proposals. Wyatt scanned them, saw they were all for brick-and-mortar businesses, and quickly put them down. Carter explained, the best projects are obviously going to the bigger VCs first. We're a new firm. Hardly anyone knows we exist. It's unrealistic to expect top-tier deals right away unless we had a massive network in the investment community. Wyatt knew how important connections were. He sighed. I'll figure something out. Chris slung an arm over Wyatt's shoulder. Dude, you just made a killing on the last Ember. Anyone else would be ecstatic. Why are you moping? I'm not so easily satisfied. Wyatt pulled out his phone and dialed Michael Zhao. Michael picked up almost instantly. Hello, Mr. Zhao, I'm back in the city. How about you treat me to dinner tonight? Aha, you got it. Michael readily agreed. Send me your location. I'll swing by and check out your office. I told my uncle about your movie investment, and he told me I need to learn from you. That's going to cost you tuition. Michael laughed even louder. Deal. Tonight, you get the full VIP treatment. We'll call it your tuition payment. Save it. See you in a bit. See ya. Michael Zhao arrived in a flashy orange Porsche. Wyatt gave him a quick tour of the office. As they headed downstairs, Michael asked, how many people are on your team now? Counting me, exactly 10. Damn. Michael gave him a thumbs up. What were you thinking when you invested in that movie? Such a small company, dropping $500,000 like that. Weren't you afraid of losing it all? Wyatt shrugged nonchalantly. If you go in thinking you're going to lose, what's the point of starting an investment firm? Might as well just get a regular job. Good point. So what about you? Still rotating through departments at your uncle's company? Michael shook his head. Nope. I'm now the team lead for Investment Group 5. Nice. Moving on up. Don't bust my chops. The composite groups have the least say in the investment department. Basically, any project that lands on my desk is something the other 4 groups have already passed on. And my uncle gave me a direct order. I have to produce some results in the next 2 years, or I'm stuck there indefinitely. Hearing this, Wyatt immediately wrapped an arm around Michael's shoulders with a grin. Mr. Zhao, how about we team up? Team up? What do you have in mind? My firm is new, not much deal flow right now. Apex Capital is a big player. Even as the lead of Group 5, you must get a decent number of proposals. Share the pitches with me, and if I see something I like, we invest together. You say that like every investment you touch turns to gold. Wyatt smiled. So far, my instincts haven't been wrong. If you don't trust me, you don't have to invest. No way. If you hit it big, I'd regret it forever. Wyatt pressed him. So, are we partners or not? Michael pursed his lips. I'll have to think about it. Fine, take your time. But the offer's only good for a year. After that, I won't need to partner with you. You think you can change the world in a year? In 1 year, Wyatt said with total confidence, see, investments will be a major name in the venture capital world. You think I'll need to partner with you then? TSK. You're really asking for a punch in the face right now. Where are we eating tonight? A place I go to all the time. Great food. After, I'll take you for a massage. For real. I'm a man of my word. You're not taking me to some shady back alley place, are you? Get lost. Do I look like that kind of guy? Kinda. You wish you were my kind of guy. Michael was a generous host. Even though it was just the 2 of them, he ordered several dishes. The restaurant was upscale, and the meal was clearly expensive. Over dinner, they talked about the economy, investments, and market trends. While Michael might have goofed off in college, he'd grown up in the business world and wasn't clueless. Listening to Wyatt speak so authoritatively about the economic landscape of the next few years, he was genuinely curious how a college student knew so much. After dinner, Michael led Wyatt to a high-end spa. It didn't just offer massages. There were saunas and hot spring rooms upstairs. Michael was clearly a regular. He expertly guided Wyatt through a 30-minute foot massage before they headed up to the sauna. They had barely sat down when sweat started pouring off them. Wyatt wiped his face with a towel. Last time I was at your office, I noticed a lot of the female employees' eyes light up when they see you. Fess up. How many have tried to hit on you these past couple of months? Tons, Michael laughed. One just this morning. Details. How'd she do it? I went to the break room for coffee. The printer's over there. The second she saw me walk in, she bent over, pretending to look for a document, sticking her ass out and wiggling it around like she was afraid I wouldn't notice. And you didn't fall for that. What the hell? You think I'm that easy? Michael said, exasperated. I went to another spa with a friend once. Now that girl was a master. Tell me. Right before the session ended, she looked at me with these sad puppy dog eyes and told me I shouldn't come back anymore. She said I needed to save my money, and if I really missed her, I should just book the cheapest package and she'd take care of me. She told me to save up and marry a good woman, not someone like her. She said if she wasn't in this line of work in her next life, she'd marry me. Michael gesticulated wildly. At that moment, I almost fell for it completely. Son of a bitch. It was only later that my friend told me she pulls that line on every single client. I never went back. Now that's a real honey trap. You have no idea how good her acting was. It's a shame she's not in movies. Don't say that. People have it tough. What if she has a gambling dad, a sick mom, and a little brother who's a genius? Haha, you're a real piece of work. It was already 9:30 p.m. when they left the spa. Michael dropped Wyatt off near his office and drove home. When he walked in, he found his uncle, Robert Zhao, waiting for him on the sofa. Michael's cheerful expression vanished. He scratched his head. Uncle, what are you doing here? Robert sat grimly on the sofa. You disappear the second work is over. Were you messing around this time? Uncle, Michael explained quickly. I swear I wasn't messing around. I was having dinner with Wyatt Evans. Look at him. He's 2 years younger than you, and he's already starting his own business, making his own money. And you? Still fooling around every day. Michael was used to the lectures. He walked over. Uncle, there's something I want to talk to you about. What is it? Wyatt told me today that his company is new and doesn't have much deal flow. He wants to partner with me. He wants to look at the proposals we get and invest together. What do you think? Robert didn't answer directly. What do you think? I was thinking the projects that get thrown to me are just leftovers anyway. So why not give it a shot? If we succeed, great. If we fail, at least we share the loss. I really think that kid has a sharp eye for the market. It's like he can predict which industries will make money and which won't. Michael grew more animated as he spoke. He even told me today that the next 2 years are a golden age for investment, and that the domestic investment environment will get worse every year after that. He even predicted that U.S.-China relations would shift within 3 years. He doesn't think there will be a war, but maybe a trade war. Robert listened for a while, his brow furrowing deeper. When Michael finished, he said, all this? Yeah, you should spend more time with him. That kid has a very sharp mind. You might learn a lot from him. Michael nodded. So, about the partnership, do what you think is right. Got it. In mid-August, the dorms were still closed. Wyatt, like Chris, had to check into a hotel near the office. He had just gotten back to his room when his phone rang. At this hour, Wyatt didn't even need to look at the caller ID to know it was Chloe. He answered, put the phone on speaker, and set his suitcase on the floor. How are you always so punctual? He said, pulling clothes out of his bag. I just got to the hotel, and you're already calling. Chloe's voice filled the room. What took you so long? I had dinner with a friend tonight, talked about work for a bit. He quickly added a guy friend. Chloe was lying on her bed, her legs kicking in the air. She pouted. I didn't ask. I was just afraid you'd get the wrong idea. That time with Mandy. Okay, you're not allowed to mention that ever again, Chloe interrupted. Fine, I won't. Are you about to take a shower? It's okay. I can talk to you while I shower. I'm so bored without you here. You miss me already? A little. These 10 days will fly by. I don't care. Next time, I'm going back to the city with you. Chloe. Yeah. I love you. I love you too. Wyatt was surprised when Michael called the very next morning to agree to the partnership. That afternoon, Wyatt went to Apex Capital and spent several hours in Michael's office, leaving with a huge stack of business plans. A powerhouse firm like Apex Capital had entrepreneurs beating down its door daily. Finding projects to invest in was never a problem. Back at his own office, Wyatt immediately called his investment team into the conference room, and they began sifting through the proposals. These plans had already been reviewed by professionals in Apex's other investment groups. The ones that made it to Michael's desk were the rejects, most of them lacking any real investment value. Wyatt tossed many of them aside after just glancing at the project names. As someone who had lived through the future, he knew exactly which industries would thrive, which would struggle, and which were almost guaranteed to lose money in the coming years. Just as they were about to finish, a name caught his eye: Ink Live. If he remembered correctly, 2015 was the year the live streaming industry exploded. By now, platforms like Twitch, Mixer, and Audiobook were already online, along with others that would eventually fold. Even though most platforms were currently operating a loss, the industry was growing rapidly, and a few would emerge as dominant players, with several even going public. Ink Live, compared to the mainstream platforms, wasn't as well known, but in his memory, it was one of the survivors. Wyatt vaguely recalled seeing news that the company had eventually gone public. He slapped the business plan down on the conference table. "What do you guys think of this one?" Carter Lou picked it up, and his brow furrowed. "Live streaming? That sector is a total bloodbath right now. Since the beginning of the year, at least 8 or 10 new platforms have launched every month. Getting in now is, to put it bluntly, like throwing money into the ocean. Have you ever thought about why so many platforms are popping up? I admit, live streaming is the future. Even the son of that famous real estate mogul is starting a platform. But the competition is so fierce, the probability of success is too low. Investing, by its very nature, is a gamble," Wyatt countered. "If we back down every time the competition is fierce, is our firm just going to stick to small-time projects forever?" Without waiting for Carter to respond, Wyatt made the call. "First, research the founder. Look into his background and track record, then write up an analysis for me. It's a $1 million investment. If Apex Capital joins in, our share is only $500,000. I can afford to lose that much right now." With the boss speaking so decisively, Carter didn't argue. Truthfully, there were very few projects with real potential in the stack. If they hesitated forever, the company might never get its second project off the ground. Carter took the business plan and began his research. That evening, shortly after Wyatt returned to his hotel, Michael called. "Hey Wyatt, find anything you like. You're in a real hurry, aren't you?" "Afraid I'll find a diamond in the rough." "Uh-huh, you saw right through me. To be honest, I did find one project I'm interested in. It's not that on-demand, in-home massage service, is it? It's Ink Live. You're interested in that one?" Michael sounded surprised. "Why? Have you looked into it?" Wyatt asked. "Our firm recently received proposals from 2 live streaming companies," Michael explained. "After some research, investment group one chose to back the other one, a project called All-Star Live. If, and I mean if, I decide to invest in Ink Live, are you in?" "In? Of course I'm in. It's only $500,000. If a small firm like yours has the guts, why would a big company like mine be scared?" Wyatt laughed. "Then get your people ready. In a few days, I'm sending my head of investments to their company to check them out." "Sounds good. I'll wait for your call." 2 days later, Carter Lou and Sam, along with several employees from Apex Capital's Group 5, flew to Austin, Texas, to begin their due diligence on Ink Live. Meanwhile, Chris, who hadn't been home all summer, took a few days off to fly back to San Diego now that Wyatt was in town. With him gone, the office felt even emptier. Wyatt found himself regretting not bringing Chloe back from Riverwood. If she were here, he could at least tease her during the day. As for the night, well, hey. As his mind wandered, Jessica walked into his office. She slapped a file down in front of him. "What are you smiling about, you weirdo? Sign this." Snapped out of his daydream, Wyatt picked up last month's payroll sheet and scanned it. While looking for a pen, he asked, "How's the renovation on your grandmother's house coming along?" "Almost done." "Good. Keep up the good work. After you graduate." "Wait, how is your salary lower than Cheryl's last month? Aren't you the head of the finance department?" Jessica explained, "Cheryl has more experience than me. She did most of the heavy lifting last month. I didn't do much, so how could I justify taking a higher salary than her? You get paid what you're worth. That's not for you to worry about. Besides," Wyatt thought, "your dad is the associate dean at Fordham. How can they possibly compare to you?" But Jessica had her own ideas. Seeing that Wyatt had signed, she snatched the payroll sheet away. "Then just give me a bigger bonus at the end of the year," she said, a hint of pride in her voice. "You're a rich man now, after all. Hey, I'm the boss. Can't you show me a little respect?" And close the door on your way out. Jessica, who had already pulled the door shut, heard him and pushed it wide open again. Wyatt sighed in resignation. Just as he was about to get up and close it himself, the messenger icon on his computer started bouncing. He clicked on it. "Leo, bro, I think the time is right. Can I kiss Sophie now?" What an idiot, Wyatt thought. He's asking me this. He screenshotted the message and sent it directly to Sophie. At that moment, Leo and Sophie were sitting in a dessert shop. When Sophie saw the message from Wyatt, she opened it, and her entire face instantly turned beet red. Leo, still clueless, asked foolishly, "What's wrong? Why is your face so red?" Sophie slid her phone across the table. At the same time, Her foot found Leo's under the table and stomped down. When Leo saw that Wyatt had forwarded his message to Sophie, he wished the ground would open up and swallow him whole. He scratched his head and said with an awkward laugh, I was just kidding. Don't take it seriously. Hearing that, Sophie pressed her foot down even harder. The next week passed in a blur. Wyatt spent his days idling at the office and his nights on video calls with Chloe. He occasionally went out to dinner with Michael. Before he knew it, it was the end of August. After Carter's team returned, they briefed Wyatt on the situation at Ink Live. There were pros and cons. The good news was that the three founders had previously worked at a major tech company and understood both technology and the market. The bad news was that their company was tiny, just like Investments, with only a dozen or so employees crammed into a 2-story residential house. After an hour-long discussion with Carter, Wyatt called Michael to confirm he was in. Michael didn't hesitate for a second, declaring he would match the investment, $500,000 from each firm. With the deal set, they both instructed their teams to begin negotiating the specific investment terms with Ink Live. Having settled that, Wyatt boarded an Amtrak train to Riverwood. Driving would take too long and be exhausting. By train, he could have lunch there, catch an afternoon train back, and be in New York by 7 or 8 in the evening if everything went smoothly. Chloe had known since last night that Wyatt was coming. She woke up and immediately started packing, her mood brighter than it had been in days. Miranda saw it, but didn't say a word. When Charles learned his daughter was leaving for the city that day, he also came over early. Finding Miranda busy in the kitchen alone, he asked, "Where's Chloe?" "Upstairs, packing." "Why'd you buy so much food today?" "Wyatt is coming over for lunch." Thinking about the reception he got versus the one Wyatt received, Charles felt the familiar sting of jealousy. Upstairs, Chloe was holding a pair of ultra-thin, nude-colored stockings, debating whether to wear them. Before college, she'd never worn them. For one, her legs were already perfect and didn't need any embellishment. For another, she felt they made her look too mature. If it weren't for her discovery of Wyatt's particular interest, she never would have even considered it. Even so, she could only bring herself to wear these nearly invisible ones. After a moment's hesitation, she put them on. Her outfit was decidedly youthful, a denim skirt with a pink t-shirt, her soft hair tied into cute pigtails. Combined with her cheerful demeanor, she looked completely different from the girl who usually lounged around the house. When Charles saw his daughter come downstairs, he immediately praised her. "My daughter looks so beautiful today." Chloe beamed, but then it dawned on Charles. This whole outfit wasn't for him. It was for that little bastard, Wyatt. He felt another sharp pang in his chest. Miranda glanced at the time. It was already noon. She picked up her phone and called Wyatt. Hearing he would be at the station in half an hour, she commanded, "Charles, go drive to the train station." "Why am I going to the station?" "To pick up Wyatt." Charles's eyes widened. "You want to go pick him up?" Miranda shot him a threatening glare. "Are you going or not?" "If you don't, I will." Charles looked from Miranda to Chloe and instantly caved. Fine, I'm going." Fearing her dad and Wyatt would clash in the car, Chloe quickly said, "Dad, I'll go with you." Charles naturally agreed. The two of them got in the car and headed for the station, leaving Miranda humming a little tune as she happily finished cooking the last few dishes. In the car, "Chloe, tell me the truth. How far have you and this Wyatt character gone?" "Dad, if you're too embarrassed to say, I'll just ask, and you can nod or shake your head. That's fair, right?" Chloe neither agreed nor refused. Charles began his interrogation. "You two hold hands often now, right?" Chloe nodded shyly. She knew if she said no, her dad wouldn't believe her anyway. Charles continued, "Has he kissed you?" Chloe fidgeted, twisting her hands together, and gave a reluctant nod. Swallowing the pain in his heart, Charles pressed on. "Have you kissed him?" Chloe nodded again, her head bowed, so low her chin touched her chest, her cheeks flushed a lovely shade of red. But seeing his daughter like this, Charles felt a profound sadness. After a moment of silence, he finally lowered his voice. "You two haven't. You haven't slept together, have you?" Chloe was too embarrassed to nod, but she didn't shake her head either. But she was his daughter. He knew that, even without a nod, her reaction was as good as a confession. Charles clutched his chest, feeling a shortness of breath. He quickly rolled down the window, the fresh air doing little to soothe his aching heart. "I just don't know what you see in him." "Dad," Chloe finally couldn't take it anymore. "Why do you hate him so much? What's so bad about him?" "Everything's bad about him. He just doesn't look trustworthy." "You're so trustworthy, so why did Mom still divorce you?" Charles sputtered. "That's different. Your mother and I didn't get divorced because of that." Chloe pouted. "Wyatt is always trying to get you and Mom back together. He's always creating opportunities for you. And you look at him like he's the enemy. Dad, if you keep this up, I'm not going to help you anymore." So now you're saying this is my fault? It is. Charles let out a long sigh. Look, I know he's outstanding for his age, he said, his voice heavy. But you're my precious daughter. In my heart, you're the most important person in the world. No matter who you date, I'm going to dislike them. It's not just Wyatt. If any other boy appeared by your side, I'd be just as hard on him, maybe even harder. Chloe said weakly, but I already love him. Hearing his quiet, well-behaved daughter say something so bold, Charles knew that Wyatt already held a very large place in her heart. He pulled the car over to the curb outside the station. Fine, he said softly. From now on, Dad will. Before he could finish, Chloe unbuckled her seatbelt, jumped out of the car, and ran towards Wyatt, who had just walked out of the station. Watching his daughter run into Wyatt's arms and be swept up in a hug, Charles sighed and looked away. They say a day apart feels like a lifetime. After half a month without seeing Chloe, Wyatt was practically starving for her. When he saw her running towards him, he opened his arms and pulled her into a tight hug. Chloe struggled for a moment for show, then melted into his embrace. Just as Wyatt was about to lean in for a kiss, she quickly reminded him, "My dad's right there." "Your dad?" Wyatt was confused. "He drove here." "Yeah," Chloe added. "My mom made him." "Well, that explains it." They walked hand in hand toward the car. Just before they reached it, Chloe pulled her hand away, and they both slid into the back seat. The ride home was silent. On the surface, Wyatt sat perfectly still, but his hand had already crossed the border several times. Each time he placed it on Chloe's thigh, she would push it away and shoot him a tiny, warning glare. In response, Wyatt would put on a pitiful expression, which made Chloe turn to look out the window, desperately trying to suppress a smile. Charles saw their flirtatious little game in the rearview mirror. This time, however, he pretended not to notice, driving steadily all the way back to Maple Creek Estates. "Mom!" Chloe burst into the living room, her face beaming. "We're back. Go wash your hands. It's time to eat." "Okay." The four of them sat at the dining table, eating and chatting. "Wyatt, is it hot in the city?" "Doesn't seem as hot as it is here." "You're a sophomore now. Are the classes going to be harder than freshman year?" "I don't know yet." Chloe laughed. "It doesn't matter if the classes are hard. You skip half of them freshman year, anyway. I only skipped the big lectures. I went to all my required classes. Don't you go spreading rumors." "Haha. Listen to you. Acting like you're a model student. I never failed a single class." "That's because you cheated on everything. Being able to cheat is a skill in itself. By the way, are Sophie and Leo back in the city yet?" "I think they're getting back today, too. They really made the most of their trip. They spent 4 or 5 days in New Orleans, then a few days in D.C. On the way back, Leo definitely had a good time." The conversation, initially started by Miranda, soon turned into a back and forth between Wyatt and Chloe. They seemed to forget Miranda and Charles were even there, chatting away happily. Miranda said nothing, just quietly placed more food in their bowls. Near the end of the meal, Charles got a call from the bank. He quickly tidied up to leave, but not before instructing them, "You two be safe on the road. Send a message in the group chat when you get to campus." He gave Wyatt a pointed look that clearly said, "You better take care of my baby girl, kid. If anything happens to her, I'll have her hide." After Charles left, Chloe called Wyatt upstairs to help her bring her suitcase down. He hadn't slept well last night and had gotten up early for the train. It was peak back-to-school season, and the train car had been packed with loud college students, making it impossible to sleep. The moment Wyatt entered Chloe's room, he flopped on her bed and lay there like a log, not moving a muscle. "What are you doing?" "No rush. I'm exhausted. Let me lie down for a bit. Wake me up at 1:30. Chloe knew he hadn't slept well and had been traveling all morning. She just turned on the room's air conditioner and quietly went back downstairs. When Miranda saw her come down alone, she frowned. "Where's Wyatt?" "He said he's tired and wants to lie down for a while." Leo and Sophie got off the train at 1 in the afternoon. They found a small restaurant near the station for lunch. A simple rice bowl cost nearly $20, and it wasn't even that good. The money Leo had earned from his summer factory job was long gone. He'd even had to borrow money from Wyatt for their train tickets from D.C. He was practically broke, but he still squared his shoulders and paid for the meal. On the flight to New Orleans, Sophie had already told Leo she wanted to split the cost of the trip. Leo had readily agreed. But once they were there, he insisted on paying for everything: food, lodging, and tickets to attractions. Sophie knew his money came from a summer job. As they sat in the restaurant, she said directly, "When we get back, figure out how much the trip cost in total. I'm transferring you half." Leo just smiled and shook his head. "Don't worry about it. It wasn't that much. Don't pretend. I know you had to borrow money from Wyatt. Forget everything else. Just the hotels for the past 10 days must have cost at least $1,000. Plus tickets, transportation, and food, I bet it's over 2,000. Sophie continued methodically. If you don't tell me how much it was, I'm just going to Venmo Wyatt $1,000. Hearing her lay it all out so clearly, Leo thought he must have done something to upset her. Sophie, he said, his face falling, did I do something wrong? Why would you ask that? Why are you being so meticulous about the money? We agreed to go 50-50, but the reason I earn money is to spend it on you. Sophie was floored. She lowered her head, flustered, and picked at her food, her heart racing. 20 minutes later, they were on the subway heading to the Giuliard campus. It was packed with students. Forget finding a seat. There was barely room to stand. Leo grabbed their 2 suitcases and guided Sophie to a corner. He held onto a pole with one hand and steadied the luggage with the other. Sophie rested her hand on his arm. Every time the subway lurched to a stop, her head would bump against his chest. After half an hour on the crowded train, they finally emerged. Walking towards the school gates, they saw banners welcoming the new freshman class hanging everywhere. The campus was swarming with upperclassmen hawking phone plans and internet packages. When they reached the dorm building, they both stopped simultaneously. Sophie asked quietly, "Do you want to come up and rest for a bit?" Am I allowed to go up? For the first few days of school, lots of parents come up. The dorm supervisors don't really care. Okay, then give me your suitcase. Just as Sophie had said, Leo made it up to dorm room 205 without any trouble. To Sophie's surprise, she was the first of her roommates to arrive. She unpacked her clothes, putting some in the laundry and hanging the rest in her closet. Then she started wiping down her desk and cabinets, not just for herself, but for her 3 roommates as well. Seeing her so busy, Leo felt awkward just sitting there. He went to the balcony, grabbed the mop, and started cleaning the floor. After just 10 minutes, his forehead was slick with sweat. Sophie noticed and pulled out a couple of tissues from the dispenser on her desk, gently wiping his brow. Leo looked up, his eyes fixed on hers. Feeling his intense gaze, Sophie's heart began to pound like a drum. She sensed him leaning closer and instinctively closed her eyes. But after waiting for what felt like an eternity, nothing happened. Sophie slowly opened her eyes. Leo was still standing there, frozen, a look of pure terror on his face. Her own face bright red, she blurted out, Are you going to kiss me or not?" Leo's mind went completely blank. Kiss her. Of course, Leo wanted to kiss her. But this was so sudden, he wasn't prepared. Still, Sophie's question was like a shot of adrenaline. He suddenly reached out, placed his hands on her shoulders, and leaned in. Bang! The dorm room door was thrown open from the outside. Isabelle and Ashley stood in the doorway, their eyes wide. All 4 of them stared at each other, frozen, as if they'd stumbled upon a top-secret government conspiracy. Leo quickly retracted his hands. Sophie's face was so red it matched her ears. Ashley, who had just stepped forward, was yanked back by Isabelle. "Just pretend we were never here," Isabelle declared, and slammed the door shut. Leo and Sophie looked at each other. Mortified, Sophie kicked Leo in the shin and ran to the door, yanking it open. Isabelle and Ashley had their ears pressed against the wood, trying to eavesdrop. When the door flew open, they nearly tumbled into the room. Sorry about that. We didn't mean to ruin your moment." Sophie didn't offer an explanation, her face still burning as she went to hang her laundry. Leo was so embarrassed he didn't know what to say, the sweat on his forehead multiplying. Isabelle, however, clapped him on the shoulder, giving him a sly thumbs up. "Not bad. You've really leveled up. Been taking notes from Wyatt all summer." Leo felt that if he stayed any longer, Isabelle, the pro driver, would laugh him out of the room. He quickly turned. "Sophie, I'm going to head back. I'll talk to you tonight." Sophie gave a non-committal "oh." Leo fled the girls' dorm. The moment he was gone, Isabelle and Ashley swarmed Sophie, flanking her like bodyguards. Isabelle grinned wickedly. "Sophie, I had no idea you and Leo were moving so fast. Fess up. What happened on your trip? Why are you so nosy? Oh, come on, tell us." "Nothing happened. What could have happened? We just went on a trip together." "I don't believe you." "I don't believe you either," Ashley chimed in. Sophie shrugged them off. "Get off me, you guys are so annoying." "Isabelle, when is Chloe getting back?" Ashley asked. "Today, I think. She'll probably get here tonight. I wonder what those 2 were up to all summer." Sophie quickly changed the subject. "Did you guys not know that Wyatt is a millionaire now?" "What? For real?" "It's true. Leo told me everything. Wyatt started an investment company and invested in that huge summer movie, The Last Ember. He said he's gonna make at least $10 million from it. Holy crap." Isabelle shrieked. "I want a millionaire boyfriend too." On the Amtrak from Riverwood back to New York, Wyatt met 2 freshmen. He wouldn't have known, but he overheard the 2 girls sitting across from him talking and realized they were both incoming students at Fordham's business school. Finding the coincidence amusing, he struck up a conversation. First day of college. Your parents aren't coming with you? The girl with the oval face and round glasses glanced at her friend before answering. They both have work, they couldn't get away. Wyatt smiled. Oh, I'm in a business school too. I'm a sophomore, so I guess that makes me your upperclassman. A senior. The two girls were surprised. Learning that he was a sophomore, they immediately started peppering him with questions about the school. What are the dorms like? How's the food in the cafeteria? Are the final exams hard? When's the best time to take the English proficiency exams? Wyatt answered each question patiently. The two girls hadn't yet been molded by the college environment. They still carried the air of high school students. There was a world of difference in the vibe between a senior in high school and a freshman in college, even if they were only a year apart. After a few more questions, one of the girls asked tentatively, Senior, is your girlfriend also a student at our school? No, she goes to Giuliard. No wonder she's so pretty. The sudden compliment made Chloe blush. She smiled and asked them, the train gets in at 7 tonight. What are your plans for the evening? It's okay. We'll just find a hotel near the school for the night and then check in tomorrow morning. Chloe nodded. Well, you can ride the subway with us. You'll take the E train and then... Dork, where do they transfer to get to your school? Transfer at Times Square for the one train. You'll see a hotel right when you go in through the 116th Street gates. Okay, thanks, Senior, one of the girls said, holding up her phone with a smile. Senior, can we add you on Messenger? Wyatt put his arm around Chloe. You have to ask her first. If she says yes, then I can. Chloe's face turned bright red. She pushed his arm off. Are you crazy? Just kidding. I'm going to hit you. In the end, Wyatt added both of them on Messenger. The train was approaching the station. Just before they got off, the girls finally asked for his name. After getting off the train, they went to the subway station where the two freshmen boarded the E train. Wyatt and Chloe got on A train. The subway wasn't as crowded as it was during the day, and after a few stops, they even found seats. Wyatt whispered, Are you hungry? A little. Message the girls in your group chat and ask if they've eaten. If not, tell them to come out for dinner, my treat. Chloe obediently took out her phone and started typing in the group. Chloe, hey everyone. Chloe, have you guys eaten yet? Isabelle, nope, we were waiting for you. Chloe, we're almost there, get ready. Wyatt's paying tonight. Ashley, of course he's paying. Ashley, he's a big shot boss now. Isabelle at Wyatt Evans. Isabelle, don't forget us now that you're rich and famous. Ashley, don't forget us now that you're rich and famous. Sophie, feeling it was the polite thing to do, copied and pasted the message as well. Chloe showed the phone to Wyatt, who quickly used her phone to type a message back. Wyatt, cut the crap. My car is parked at the mall. We'll meet there. Isabelle, okay, Mr. CEO. Ashley, okay, Mr. CEO. Sophie, okay, Mr. CEO. Chloe took her phone back, smiling as she typed. You three are ridiculous. Can you stop? Isabelle, okay, Mrs. CEO. Ashley, okay, Mrs. CEO. Sophie, okay, Mrs. CEO. After getting off the subway, Wyatt and Chloe first dropped their luggage in the car. They met up with Isabelle, Ashley, and Sophie and found seats at a chain restaurant. Over the 2-month summer break, Chloe's 3 roommates had all changed a bit. Ashley had grown her hair out long. Isabelle's style was more mature. Even Sophie was now wearing glasses, which made her look even more like a sweet, studious girl. But the biggest change was in Wyatt. After a summer working at the factory and learning to swim, the muscles on his body were more defined, and his skin had tanned to a healthy bronze. With the added label of millionaire, Isabelle and her friends thought he seemed to have more of an aura about him. Wyatt, where's your investment company located? Isabelle asked. In a business park near my school. Is it true what Sophie said? Did you really make that much money all at once? Sophie must have gotten the news from Leo, and whatever Leo knew had to be true. Wyatt didn't try to hide it. He nodded. Got lucky. The first investment paid off. But the movie is still in theaters, so the money won't hit the company's account for a while. Isabelle immediately stood up, grabbed a water pitcher, and eagerly poured Wyatt a glass, a wide smile on her face. Mr. CEO, if we can't find jobs after graduation, you have to take us in. What would you do with the company? Serve tea and coffee. I can do that too. Ashley chimed in. How about this? Isabelle said with a laugh. I'll be your secretary, and Ashley can be your assistant. We don't need a high salary. For $5,000 a month would be enough. Wyatt knew Isabelle was joking. She was from a wealthy New York family with parents working in Australia. She wouldn't look twice at a job paying $4,000 or $5,000 a month. Her monthly allowance was probably more than that. But he played along. Sure, as long as Chloe's okay with it, I'm okay with it. You're all pretty enough. That was exactly what Isabelle and Ashley wanted to hear. After all, what girl doesn't like being told she's pretty? When the food arrived, Wyatt dug in immediately. Even though he'd had a big lunch, it was now 8 o'clock, and he was starving. The girls chattered on about their summer adventures. Halfway through the meal, Wyatt's phone rang. Seeing it was Michael Zhao, Wyatt put down his chopsticks and answered. "Hey, Mr. Zhao." Hearing the title, Chloe and the others assumed he was talking business and quieted down. "Wyatt, you free? Meet me at the old spot." The old spot Michael referred to was that high-end spa. In the half a month Wyatt had been in New York, he'd already been there 4 times with Michael. "Not tonight," Wyatt replied. "I just got back to the city. School's about to start, and I just went and picked up my girlfriend." "Oh, crap. I forgot you were still a college student. Let's reschedule. After we finalize the Ink Live deal, I'll treat you to dinner." "All right, then. Talk to you later." "Yep." After hanging up, Chloe and her roommates resumed their conversation. Wyatt, while eating, casually picked up his phone. He opened Messenger and saw a status Michael had posted 5 minutes ago. It was a selfie with the caption, "Working late again. Someone come save me." Wyatt casually commented with 3 words, "You're so extra." After commenting, he put down his chopsticks with renewed interest. "Isabelle, you want to get out of the single life?" Isabelle looked at him, confused. "Why do you ask?" Wyatt smiled. "I know a guy, the one who just called me. He fits your criteria perfectly. I think you two would be a good match." "Really? Really? Got a picture? Let me see." Wyatt opened Michael's recent post and handed his phone to Isabelle, who was sitting across from him. As she took it, Sophie and Ashley immediately leaned in to look. Michael was handsome, about the same height as Wyatt. Besides smoking, Wyatt hadn't noticed any other bad habits. Since he was introducing him to Isabelle, he wouldn't have made the offer if he didn't know him at all, or if Michael had serious character flaws. Isabelle stared at the phone for a long time. When she realized she'd been gazing at the picture for quite a while, she noticed her 2 roommates were smirking at her. She quickly handed the phone back to Wyatt and said to her friends, "What are you laughing at? What's so funny?" "Wyatt, you should give her his contact info," Ashley teased. Her eyes were practically sparkling just now. Just as Isabelle was about to argue, Wyatt jumped in. "How about I set up a meeting for you guys sometime? These things have to be mutual." "What does he do?" Isabelle asked. "He works at Apex Capital. His uncle is the boss. From what I've seen, he seems like a decent guy." Ashley prodded deliberately. "Well, Isabelle, are you interested or not?" Isabelle hemmed and hawed. "He looks okay, I guess." "Barely." The girls chorused. Wyatt took back the conversation. "But the most I can do is introduce you. How things develop after that is none of my business." When it came to coaching others on relationships, Isabelle was a seasoned expert. But now that it was her turn, she was surprisingly shy. Wyatt didn't push it. After dinner, he drove them back to their dorm. Chloe deliberately stayed in the car after the others got out. Once they were gone, she murmured, "Drive safe tonight." "Okay. Text me when you get back to campus." "Okay." The car was quiet for a moment. Then, Chloe suddenly leaned over and pecked him on the cheek. Just as she was about to jump out of the car, Wyatt grabbed her arm. "What are you doing?" "I have to go back to my dorm," she said, feigning innocence. "It's only fair. You kissed me, so I have to kiss you back." Wyatt leaned in. With Chloe's reflexes, she could have dodged him 99.99% of the time. But she didn't. She just slowly closed her eyes. Maybe it was because the AC in the car was on too high, but the tip of her nose was cold. When it touched Wyatt's cheek, the cool sensation mixed with her warm breath sent a jolt of excitement through him. Chloe remained still, letting Wyatt have his way. It was only when his restless hands landed on her waist and started to wander upwards that she began to mumble, "Don't do that," and "Not there," and "I'll bite you." When Wyatt drove away, there was a fresh set of teeth marks on his arm. He hadn't even left the campus when his phone buzzed. He opened it. It was a message from Isabelle. "Wyatt, what's his name?" The last day of August was also the last day before school officially started. Wyatt slept in, not rolling out of bed until mid-morning. He was the only one in the dorm. Sam was already at the office. Chris was flying back from San Diego that evening. As for Alex, he'd been MIA all summer, except for one social media post in July that showed him and Lily at a concert. After showering, Wyatt drove to the cafeteria. It was packed with students, and the campus was teeming with freshmen and their parents. He grabbed 4 buns and a carton of soy milk to eat at the office. But the foot traffic was so heavy that he laid on the horn countless times just to move a few feet. Some people moved when he honked. Others needed several blasts, muttering under their breath. Thinks he owns the road just because he has a car. Passing the administration building, Wyatt happened to see the 2 freshmen from the train again. They were following an upperclassman, presumably to complete their registration. Wyatt gave a couple of quick honks to say hello. To his surprise, the upperclassman leading them heard the horn, turned, and shot Wyatt an annoyed look. Seeing no cars behind him, Wyatt stopped, got out, and waved to the two girls. Small world. The freshmen were shocked to see him. Their guide's annoyed expression instantly vanished when he recognized Wyatt, and he meekly stepped aside. Senior, what are you doing here? Oh, just heading to my office. Have you two finished registering? Almost. Okay, well, go get it done. If you run into any trouble at school, just message me. Okay. After the brief exchange, Wyatt drove off. As they watched his car disappear, the upperclassman guide asked curiously, "What do you two know Wyatt Evans?" You know him too? He's basically a campus celebrity now. I don't think there's anyone at this school who doesn't know who he is. What? A celebrity? Wyatt spent the morning at the office. For lunch, he took Sam and Jessica back to campus, but instead of the cafeteria, he drove to the strip of food trucks and cheap eats just off campus. He was dying to see how Ron's rival store, Corner Organics, was doing. As he turned onto the street, he saw it from a distance. A fruit market with its entrance flanked by congratulatory flower arrangements. The store, named the Fruit Garden, was huge, at least 3 times the size of Sesay's old market. The entire front wall was made of glass, showcasing a vibrant array of fruits to passersby. Prices were plastered all over the glass. Wyatt zoomed in with his phone camera and saw that their prices were indeed a little cheaper. He smiled and continued driving. About 150 yards further, he saw another new shop. It wasn't a fruit store, but it was fruit-related, a place selling frozen yogurt with fruit toppings. Sam, usually quiet, couldn't help but comment, "It's a good thing we sold the store when we did. Business this semester would have taken a huge hit." Wyatt laughed. "I was gonna go check on Ron, but I think he probably wants to kill me right now. Let's just find a place to eat." He parked the car, and they found a dive bar with a great patio for a quick bite before heading back to the office. Chris arrived around 4 in the afternoon, with Paige in tow. The moment Paige saw Wyatt, she started complaining. "Wyatt, can you please not be so ambitious?" Wyatt was baffled. "Paige, what are you talking about? I wanted Chris to go on vacation with me this summer, but he stayed in New York until mid-August. He spends more time with you now than he does with me." Wyatt shot back. "So why didn't you stay here with him this summer?" Isn't it a good thing that I'm encouraging him to be ambitious? Or do you prefer guys with no drive? You. Wyatt had effectively silenced her in 2 sentences. Chris was amused. He hadn't thought of turning the argument around like that. He shot Wyatt a look that said, "You're the master." Unable to win, Paige just pouted. "I can't win with you. I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm going back to school. Do you need a ride?" Wyatt offered. "No need." Paige, acting like one of the guys, slung her arm over Chris's shoulder. "This guy already bought a car." Chris sighed. "I'll take her back to school first. We can talk when I get back." "Sound good." Paige went to Riverwood Tech, which was only a 20-minute drive away. Chris often went to see her during the week. Wyatt was envious of how close they were. A trip to Giuliard took him at least 40 minutes, and with traffic, it was often closer to an hour. Thinking of this, he picked up his phone and sent a message to Chloe. "Wyatt, what are you doing?" "Chloe, at Target with the girls, buying toothpaste, shampoo, paper towels, that kind of stuff." "What about you?" "Wyatt, thinking about you, of course." "Chloe, I don't believe you." "Wyatt, I'm also thinking about something else." "Chloe, what?" "Wyatt, I'm thinking about when I can finally move in with you." Chloe immediately turned off her phone when she saw the message. She was too embarrassed to answer such a direct question. The mere thought of moving in, of sharing a roof with Wyatt every day, made her nervous. She clutched her phone, trailing after her roommates through the store, her mind filled with images of them living together, brushing their teeth together, eating meals together, cuddling on the sofa, watching TV, lying in bed together, held tightly in his arms. "If we lived together, that jerk would bully me all the time. No, I can't agree to it now. But why am I looking forward to it so much?" As she thought, her face grew hot. "Chloe, what are you doing?" "In nothing." Chloe realized she had fallen behind. She hurried to catch up, then secretly pulled out her phone and sent a reply to Wyatt. "Not right now." Smiley face. Before leaving work, Wyatt got a call from Alex. He and Sam drove to the subway station to pick him up. Alex looked like he had lost at least 10 pounds over the summer. He seemed listless, as if he'd been completely drained. "Dude, what did you do all summer?" Wyatt asked with a laugh. "Don't ask." Alex didn't elaborate, just sighed and changed the subject. "Did you get the money I transferred yesterday?" "Yeah, I got it." Before the summer, Alex had borrowed $500 from Wyatt, promising to pay him back in July. Wyatt had never brought it up, and Alex had only just sent the money yesterday. Alex rubbed his stomach. "Let's go eat first. I'm starving." Wyatt nodded. "Chris is already waiting at the restaurant. He bought a new Civic. Dinner's on him tonight." "Chris bought a car too?" "Yeah." Alex fell silent, a lost look in his eyes. For the past 2 months, aside from going to a concert with Lily in early July, he had been working at an electronics factory near Philadelphia, putting in at least 10 hours a day. He had just quit 2 days ago, and he still hadn't recovered. He felt numb. In nearly 2 months, he had earned a little over $1,400. He'd kept $200 for himself, paid Wyatt back the $500, leaving him with just over $700. And in his suitcase was a $150 Estee Lauder skincare set. When they got to the restaurant, the food was already on the table. Alex sat down and began to wolf it down. Because Alex wasn't part of investments, Wyatt, Chris, and Sam all tacitly avoided talking about the company. The meal was quiet. Back at the dorm, Alex diligently made his bed, took a quick shower, then sat at his desk, texting Lily for about 15 minutes. Around 8 o'clock, he snuck out of the dorm with a backpack. Once Alex was gone, Chris finally asked, "Wyatt, what's up with him? He looks completely wrecked." He didn't tell me, but I'm guessing he was working a summer job. His monthly allowance is almost as much as mine. Why would he need a summer job? Oh, Wyatt laughed. He's not necessarily earning money for himself. Chris was surprised. He's really trying to get with that Lily girl. Seeing Wyatt nod, Chris pressed on. "You met her a few times. What's she like?" "She's touched my thigh." "What?" "I think she's even more high-level than Amber. At least Amber wouldn't string Alex along like this." "Then why don't you tell him?" Chris said immediately. "Tell him? How?" "He's a simple-minded guy. If I told him, would he believe me? If I told him straight up that Lily is just playing him, you think he wouldn't be cursing me out in his head? So we just watch him walk right into a trap? First Amber, now Lily. A guy like him needs to get burned badly in this kind of situation. Otherwise, he'll never change." Night fell, the moon and stars shining brightly. At the entrance to the university track, Alex stood with his backpack, glancing at his phone, then looking up in the direction he expected her to come from. After about 15 minutes, Lily finally appeared in the distance. She was wearing a tight, black, form-fitting dress, sheer black stockings, and matching black high heels, looking incredibly sexy. The moment Alex saw her, his dull eyes lit up, and a smile spread across his face. He raised his hand and waved vigorously. "Lily, over here." Lily walked over at a leisurely pace, her eyes scanning Alex from top to bottom. She forced a smile. "You wanted to see me?" Alex looked at her, the words he had prepared catching in his throat. He took off his backpack, pulled out the $150 skincare set, and handed it to her. "I got you a back-to-school present." Lily was surprised to see the gift. Over the summer, Alex had messaged her almost every day. At first, it was fine, but then it got annoying, and she started replying only every few days. She thought he had called her out to ask why, but instead, he'd brought her a gift. Lily smiled brightly. "This must have been expensive." "It's okay," Alex said, scratching his head shyly. "I earned it from my summer job." "You worked a summer job?" "Yeah." "Then why didn't you work at Wyatt's company?" "I heard." "I didn't have time at the beginning, so Wyatt didn't ask me," Alex cut in. "Then I was too embarrassed to bring it up later." "Oh, I see." "Lily," Alex finally asked the question that had been bothering him. "Why do you take so long to reply to my messages?" Lily froze for a second, then came up with an excuse. "I was babysitting at home. I didn't have much time to be on my phone." "Babysitting?" "My brother's kid. He's only 2, a real handful." "Oh, so that's why?" Alex beamed, the unhappiness that had been building up over her unresponsiveness vanishing into thin air. Holding the Estee Lauder gift box, Lily took the initiative. "It's so crowded at the track today. You want to go for a walk?" "Sure." The two of them stepped onto the rubber track and quickly disappeared into the crowd. When Alex got back to the dorm, his 3 roommates were already in bed. Earlier that day, their advisor, Ms. Sutton, had sent out the new semester schedule. They had an 8 a.m. class tomorrow, and their sophomore course load was even heavier than their freshman year. Alex put his backpack in his closet, washed his face, and climbed into bed. He opened his phone to Messenger and saw a new post from Lily on his feed. It was a picture of the Estee Lauder gift set. The caption was simple. "So happy to receive a gift on the first day back to school." Alex liked the post and then lay in bed, smiling foolishly. A few moments later, he called out, "Wyatt." Wyatt rolled over. "What?" "I have a relationship question for you." Before he could continue, Wyatt said decisively, "Break up." Alex was confused. "I haven't even asked yet." Wyatt laughed. "When you have to ask for help from your jungler, it means you've already lost your lane." "Bullshit. I was going to ask if I give someone a gift and they accept it and even post it on their feed, does that mean I can ask them out?" Wyatt, hearing this, casually opened his own social media. He was also friends with Lily, but after refreshing his feed several times, he saw no new posts from her. So he replied, "Yeah, go for it. I support you." The next day was the official start of the new semester. On the first day, everyone was on their best behavior. By the time Wyatt strolled into the classroom, it was already full. Mr. CEO is here. Let's have a round of applause, some troublemaker shouted. The entire class actually started clapping. Wyatt walked to the front of the room, a bemused smile on his face, waving his hands. Stop, stop. Don't mess with me. Everyone, just keep a low profile. He had noticed something was off that morning in the cafeteria. The moment he walked in, people started staring at him. He was even greeted by a few students he didn't know at all. Fame was a double-edged sword. Wyatt wasn't used to this kind of attention. After his 2 morning classes, he was, as expected, summoned to his advisor's office. He thought Ms. Sutton was going to give him the usual spiel, but instead, she greeted him with a joke. Well, if it isn't Mr. CEO, Ms. Sutton, please don't you start to. She laughed. Thanks to you, at least 7 or 8 teachers have asked me about you this morning. I'm getting famous by association. Come on. All right, let's get down to business. Ms. Sutton sat up straight and got to the point. Tomorrow morning at 9, you need to go to the administration building. The university president wants to see you. The president? Yes. The news about you has spread all over campus. I was notified by the higher-ups. I imagine the president just wants to have a casual chat. It's not every day our school produces such a successful student entrepreneur. You're not just representing yourself out there anymore. You're representing the university. If there had been more time, the school probably would have used your story in its summer recruitment campaign. Wyatt grimaced. It's all Chris's damn fault for posting that interview video. Now everyone knows. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. The school won't just use you for free publicity. If you need any support from the university, as long as it's not too outrageous, they'll likely help you out. They might even offer you a direct spot in a graduate program by the time you're a senior. No thanks. Wyatt immediately shot that down. 4 years of college is long enough. I have no intention of going to grad school. That was his personal choice, and Ms. Sutton didn't try to interfere. She just reiterated, remember, tomorrow at 9, president's office in the administration building. Okay, I got it. Wyatt skipped his afternoon philosophy lecture. His conversation with Ms. Sutton had sparked an idea. Every university nowadays encourages student entrepreneurship and has corresponding support policies. The founders of major companies like DoorDash and Warby Parker all started in college. The biggest hurdle for most student entrepreneurs is a lack of capital. He could target this exact problem by creating an investment fund specifically for student-led startups. It would be the perfect solution to his deal flow problem. He spent some time online gathering information. After Sam and Chris finished their classes and came to the office, he immediately called a meeting. When Wyatt presented his idea, it received unanimous approval, even from Carter and Travis. Carter suggested, then we'll need an official website for our company. It will allow entrepreneurs to learn more about us and provide a platform for them to contact us. Wyatt nodded. A website is a must. That shouldn't cost too much, right? Travis Tang, their lawyer, smiled. There are tons of web development firms in New York. I estimate we can get a site built for around 15 or 20,000, and then we'll just need to hire one person for maintenance. All right, then that job goes to Chris. Me? What? You're not happy about being the client. Fine. The Last Ember is about to finish its theatrical run, Wyatt continued, turning to Carter. Carter, you need to stay on top of them about the money. I want that payment in our account after fall break. Otherwise, we can't launch this new initiative. Don't worry, it shouldn't be a problem. After the meeting, Jessica intentionally stayed behind. Seeing she hadn't left, Wyatt knew she had something to discuss, so he remained in his seat. Once everyone else had left, he asked, "What's up?" Jessica got straight to the point. "I found a new manager for the vending machine business. It's the vice president of our class. Do you want to meet her?" "No need." Wyatt shook his head. The vending machine business is stable now. There's no room for further expansion. Besides stocking, restocking, and payroll, there's not much else to do. You just assign people their tasks. "Don't worry," Jessica said. "There isn't much going on at the main company right now anyway. I'll handle her books every month." "Okay, it's your call." Hearing how much he trusted her, Jessica suddenly smiled. "You trust me that much? Aren't you afraid I'll cook the books?" "Not a chance. Our campus queen may love money, but she'd never do something like that." I can't tell if that was a compliment or an insult. By the way, Wyatt grinned. Every year at the beginning of the semester, the school subreddit and forums always have a poll for the campus and department queens. Think your title is safe this year? Huh. Jessica stood up and said coldly, "I would be delighted if someone took it." Wyatt's first day of school was packed. He had 2 long classes in the morning, spent the afternoon at the office, and then had an hour-long video call with Vivien in the evening to discuss her company's expansion. It was already 8 o'clock by the time he got back to the dorm. He had just sat down when he received a message from his cousin Mandy. "Mandy, Cousin, what are you doing? Wyatt, just got off work. Mandy, oh, okay. Mandy, you don't have evening study halls in college, right? Wyatt, some schools do, some don't. Wait, shouldn't you be in study hall right now? Mandy, I am. Wyatt, then why are you texting me? Mandy, I'm so bored. Wyatt, go study. I'm going to take a shower. He sent the message, put his phone down, and went to shower. Mandy sent a few more messages, but when Wyatt didn't reply, she secretly started texting Chloe from under her desk. Mandy, cousin-in-law, what are you doing? After his shower, Wyatt dried his hair and climbed into bed. He had just put on his headphones to video call Chloe when another message popped up. It was from Isabelle. Isabelle, Wyatt, are you coming over this weekend? Wyatt, yes. Isabelle, that guy. Wyatt, I know you're anxious, but try to play it cool. Wyatt, I'll invite him. Wyatt, also a suggestion. Wyatt, just dress casually. Don't try too hard. A guy like that knows the difference between a girl you date and a girl you marry. Isabelle, you're the best. Isabelle, seriously. Isabelle, you wait. Chloe is putting on body lotion. I'll sneak some pics and send them to you. The next morning at 9, Wyatt arrived outside the university president's office in the administration building. He knocked twice and, hearing a voice from within, pushed the door open and walked in. President Young, you were looking for me? The only person in the office was President Young himself. Wyatt had only seen him once before at the closing ceremony for the freshman orientation boot camp. Seeing Wyatt, President Young immediately paused his work and waved him over with a smile. Wyatt, come on in, have a seat. Wyatt stepped forward but didn't sit right away. Only after the president invited him again did he pull out a chair and sit down. I've heard all about your recent ventures, the president began. I asked you here today, mainly just to chat for a bit. It's not often we have a student achieve this level of success in entrepreneurship. I just got lucky, Wyatt said. Luck is a part of skill, the president countered. I've learned a bit about you, and, in my opinion, to have accomplished what you have at your age is proof that you have a real gift for this. The president spoke for a while, a torrent of praise and encouragement. When he finished, he seemed thirsty and reached for his mug. He brought it to his lips only to find it was empty, so he set it back down. Wyatt's eyes quickly scanned the room. Spotting a water cooler near the door, he immediately stood up, took the president's insulated mug, and returned with it full of fresh water. As he took the mug, President Young continued to smile. So, what are your plans for the future? What's next? The company is on the right track now, Wyatt explained. I'm planning to launch an initiative in October to support student startups, see if there are any good projects to invest in. But most of my energy is focused on work right now. So, in terms of my studies, don't you worry about that, the president said, waving a dismissive hand. I'll have a word with the dean of your college. And if you ever need any support from the university, you can come directly to me. Thank you, President Young. Wyatt knew exactly why the president had called him in. After expressing his gratitude, he proactively added, if I am fortunate enough to achieve real success in my career, I will never forget what my alma mater has done for me. President Young nodded with a slight, satisfied smile, his eyes seeming to say, what a sensible, good kid. Wyatt stayed in the president's office for about half an hour. It was only 9:30 when he left. He had a big lecture at 10, but after coming down from the administration building, he drove straight to the office. Once there, Wyatt sent a message to Chris. Skipping this lecture. If the professor asks, tell them the president wanted to see me. Chris quickly replied with an OK emoji. Meanwhile, the deal with Inc. Live was nearing its conclusion. All three parties had agreed to sign the contracts at Apex Capital's office on Friday morning, officially closing the first round of financing. Chris had also found a company that specialized in building corporate websites and had already paid the deposit. According to their timeline, the site would be ready for beta testing in about 25 days and would officially launch within a month. At the same time, back in Riverwood, Vivien was moving forward with her expansion plans. She had leased an entire floor of an office building, intending to follow Wyatt's advice to separate the company from the factory. The new office would handle brand operations, while the factory would focus solely on production. Renovations on the office space had already begun. Commercial construction was much faster than residential, and it was expected to be completed by the end of September. Vivien planned to move the company over after fall break. At that point, she would also add 2 more production lines on the second floor of the factory. On Friday, Wyatt woke up early. He grabbed a couple of breakfast pastries from Chris's drawer, then headed to the Investments office to meet with Carter and Travis. The three of them then drove together to Apex Capital. The Inc. Live deal was the first major project Michael Zhao had taken on since becoming head of his division, so he was taking it very seriously. He had arrived at the office early and, upon receiving Wyatt's message, immediately had his assistant bring them up. Once the Inc. Live representative team had all arrived, the three parties signed the contracts in a conference room at Apex Capital, sealing the deal. Having secured a $10 million angel investment, the Inc. Live representatives were ecstatic. They didn't stay long before heading out to celebrate. Wyatt, however, stuck around with Michael Zhao and scored a free lunch at the Apex Capital cafeteria before leaving. Before he went, Wyatt made sure to set something up with Michael. Hey, let's grab dinner tomorrow night. Michael, of course, readily agreed. After spending 2 months at home, Cecilia was still having trouble adjusting to her first week back at school. It wasn't just the classes. She felt like time moved too slowly on campus. At home, she could see Wyatt every day, but here, she had to wait a whole week. Friday afternoon, during a large public lecture, Cece sneakily pulled out her phone and sent Wyatt a message. After waiting several minutes with no reply, she put her phone away. Bored out of her mind, she started doodling pig heads in her notebook. It was a huge lecture, and fewer than 20 people were actually paying attention. To her left, Sophie was texting with Leo. To her right, Isabelle was scrolling through endless fashion photos on her phone. And next to Isabelle, Ashley was engrossed in a fanfiction story she'd found on Tumblr. Time crawled by. The moment the bell rang, students scrambled out of the classroom, eager to start their first weekend since the semester began. Sophie stood up and noticed Cece hadn't moved. She leaned in to see what Cece was doing and found that she had filled an entire page with Wyatt's name. Realizing she'd been caught, Cece immediately slammed the notebook shut. Sophie pretended not to have seen anything. Is Wyatt coming over today? She asked. I don't know. Cece shook her head. He hasn't texted me back. Sophie offered. Leo's coming over in a bit. You want me to have him ask? Yeah, okay. After leaving Apex Capital, Wyatt drove back to his dorm, threw a couple of changes of clothes into his backpack, and then headed straight for the Giuliard campus. He finally texted Cece and Leo back while waiting at a red light. When Cece saw Wyatt's message saying he was already on his way, her mood instantly lifted. She had been worried he wouldn't have time to visit so soon after the semester started. Leo had arrived early and already booked a hotel room with 2 beds nearby, planning for him and Wyatt to stay there for the night. After checking in, he wanted to go find Sophie, but she had insisted he wait and come over with Wyatt. So, after waiting in the hotel for half an hour, Leo sent another message. Wyatt, where are you? Wyatt's reply was swift. Chill out, dude. I'm almost there. Thinking Wyatt was driving, Leo meekly replied with an okay. What he didn't know was that at the exact same moment he was texting Wyatt, Cece had sent a very similar message. Dork, where are you? But she received a completely different response. I'm in your heart, babe. Wyatt picked up Leo from the hotel, and then they drove toward the campus. Isabelle and Ashley hadn't come down with Cece and Sophie. For one, there wasn't enough room in the car, and for another, they had no interest in being third wheels. After Cece and Sophie got in, Wyatt turned his head. Leo, my man, where do you want to go? I don't know. Where are you planning to go? Well, if you two want to hang out around town, then Cece and I will go to the hotel. If you two want to go to the hotel, then we'll go hang out around town. Leo finally understood the point of the question. Wyatt wanted some alone time with Cece. He immediately turned to look at Sophie. Sophie flinched. WH, what are you looking at me for? Leo grinned foolishly. So where are we going? Sophie huffed. I'm not going to a hotel with you. Her answer was, in its own way, a decision. Wyatt quickly said, all right, I'll drop you guys off at Washington Square Park. We'll meet for dinner at the Soho Mall later. I'll text you. Okay. True to his word, Wyatt dropped them at the south entrance of the park, and Leo handed him the hotel room key. Wyatt pocketed the key card and drove to the hotel. Click. Card in, door open, door closed. Wyatt tossed the key card onto the console by the door, then sat on the bed and beckoned to Cece. Come here, let me hold you. No. Come on, or I'll get fresh. Cece blinked, as if weighing her options. Finally, she shyly walked over. With a gentle pull from Wyatt, she tumbled into his arms. He wrapped his arms around her waist, one from the front and one from the back, settling her firmly on his lap. Don't you dare grope me. Hey, Wyatt said, puzzled. You can predict my next move now, can't you? Cece pouted, her expression full of mock disdain. Oomph. I've seen right through you. Holding the soft, fragrant girl in his arms, the fatigue from his long day instantly melted away. Wyatt slowly rested his head against her shoulder. I was at another company signing contracts this morning. It was a mess. Didn't get back to campus until 2. Then traffic was awful on the way over here. I should have just applied to a university closer to you. Then I could be with you every day. Cece reached up to his head, trying to smooth down a stubborn cowlick at the back, but after several attempts, The lock of hair remained defiantly upright. "You must be exhausted then," she said. "I could barely keep my eyes open on the drive over," he admitted. "But I'm not tired anymore, now that I see you. You should take a nap then." Wyatt nuzzled his head against her chest. Just as he was about to speak, Cece pinched his ear. "Ow, ow, ow." Wyatt immediately feigned misery. "What was that for?" Cece covered the spot on her chest he had just nuzzled, her face flushing. "You were about to get fresh again, weren't you?" Don't think I don't know." Wyatt grinned foolishly. She shot him a look, let go of his ear, and smoothly stood up. Wyatt propped himself up on his hands, looking up at her with a wide smile. "Do you know how famous I am at school now? How famous? Everywhere I go, people are staring at me. All the professors in my department know who I am. Even the president called me in for a chat this week." Cece was curious. "The president? What did he want?" "To praise me, of course. Told me to make my company bigger and stronger, so the university can be proud of me." "Uffed," Cece scoffed with a smile. "Such a braggart. You shouldn't be so quick to dismiss it. Who knows, maybe one day, the school really will be proud of me." "I don't believe you." Cece turned her head away, her pouting, defiant expression utterly adorable. Wyatt immediately sat up, grabbed her wrist, and pulled. Cece lost her balance and fell onto him as he lay back down on the bed. His hands were everywhere, tickling all her sensitive spots. "You don't believe me, huh?" he chanted. "Do you give up? Do you? Huh? Get off. It tickles. Huh? I give up. I give up." Wyatt was relentless, and Cece squirmed and rolled all over the bed. By the time he finally stopped, she was pinned beneath him. Wyatt propped himself up on his hands on either side of her head. Even though she wasn't moving, they could both feel the heat of each other's bodies through their thin T-shirts. Wyatt's breathing grew heavier as he lowered his head. When their lips were only a couple of inches apart, Cece suddenly blocked his mouth with her hand. "Let's agree on something first," she said, her face crimson. "How many kisses?" Wyatt forcibly moved her hand away. "Is that something we can negotiate? You always get my face all wet." "Then 10 kisses." "No, just one." "Fine, just one." Fine, one it is." Only then did Cece move her hand. She closed her eyes, striking a pose that clearly said, "I'm ready." Wyatt chuckled. "I said one kiss, but you didn't say for how long." Cece's eyes snapped open, ready to argue, but Wyatt immediately silenced her with his lips. Before, when Leo had asked him if there were any techniques to kissing, Wyatt hadn't known how to answer. But now, if Leo were to ask again, Wyatt would surely say, "It's simple. Just repeatedly write the words, 'I love you,' inside her mouth with the tip of your tongue." MMPH. Enough. That's enough. I can't. Breathe. Wyatt rolled onto his back, smacking his lips shamelessly. "You're so sweet." Seeing his hand still resting on her, Cece grabbed it and bit down hard, leaving a faint set of teeth marks before she was satisfied. Wyatt didn't feel any pain. He turned on his side, his gaze falling on the nape of her neck and her earlobe. The entire patch of skin was an alluring shade of crimson. He suddenly grumbled, "That damn Leo, insisting on booking the room himself. I never asked him to do that. He booked the room for you, and you're still mad at him? I don't want to sleep with him. I want to sleep with you. Hee in your dreams. Don't you feel like Monday through Friday passes by incredibly slowly? A little. I need to make a lot of money. After we get married, I'm just going to stop working. And what would you do all day if you didn't work? I'd just hang out with you. You'd definitely get tired of that after a while." "Never. And if I do, we could just have a couple of kids to play with." Cece's small hand once again covered Wyatt's mouth. "Shut up," she said, her face blushing. Wyatt moved her hand away and held it in his. "I've got it all planned out," he continued with a smile. "We'll buy a house with a pool. We'll sleep in every morning, make whatever we want for lunch, and in the afternoon, we can watch movies, go for a swim. If we get bored, we can invite the girls over. When the weather's nice, we'll go out, travel. When it's not, we'll just stay home. And as for the nights, What about the nights?" "Can't say. Why not? It's not safe for work. I'd get my account banned if I wrote it down." After dinner, Wyatt drove Cece and Sophie back to their dorm, then took Leo back to the hotel. Leo must have had a good time with Sophie that afternoon. He was in high spirits, humming LMFAO's party rock anthem while he showered. Wyatt pulled out his phone, replied to a few messages from Vivien, then proactively sent one to Isabelle. "I invited him to dinner tomorrow night. You're good with that, right?" Isabelle replied almost instantly. "I am. Just remember to create an opportunity for me." Wyatt typed, "Don't worry. Leave it to me." Isabelle shot back, "You're the best, bro." When Leo came out of the bathroom, Wyatt went in. After their showers, they both lay in their beds, scrolling through their phones and chatting. "So what did you and Sophie do this afternoon?" "Nothing much. Just walked around the park, then went to a bubble tea shop. Leo then added with a grin. But after our trip over the summer, I feel like my relationship with Sophie has taken a big step forward. This afternoon, we were even talking about where we should travel to next. Wyatt smiled. Of course. A lot of people put on their best face when they're dating, then their true colors come out after marriage. That's why so many couples travel together before getting married. All sorts of problems can come up during a trip, and it's an easy way to see who a person really is. So Disu, I see. Just take your time with Sophie. It'll all happen naturally. Leo beamed at the thought. But soon, he changed the subject. Hey Wyatt, do you know where Fiji is? Sophie told me this afternoon she wants to go there to see the ocean. I've never been out of the country, dude. How would I know? Wyatt rolled his eyes. But if you ever go, do me a favor and bring me back one of those funny-looking local souvenirs, from one of their special gift shops. Seeing Leo's baffled expression, Wyatt lost all interest. He waved a hand dismissively. Forget it if you don't get it. I'm about to video call my girlfriend. Don't make any noise. Seriously? You two were together all afternoon, and you're still going to video chat tonight? Wyatt sighed dramatically. I can't help it. She can't sleep well at night if she doesn't hear my voice. Dude, you're sick. The next day, Saturday, Wyatt slept until past 9 and was only woken up by Leo. Leo stood by the bed, chattering away. The weekend is only 2 days long, and you're wasting it sleeping in. I swear, you're unbelievable. You've got some nerve. You were snoring by 10:30 last night. Anyone who didn't know better would have thought there was a thunderstorm outside. Leo knew he had a snoring problem. Rebuked, he was momentarily speechless. As Wyatt leisurely made his way to the bathroom, Leo called out from the other room, Wyatt, what are we doing today? Don't worry about me. I'll drop you off at campus in a bit, and then we can go our separate ways. Works for me. I'll Venmo you $1,000 later. What for? You're not paying for the hotel room, but I still haven't paid you back for the money I borrowed. Forget about it, Wyatt said with a wave. Your parents give you pocket change for a living allowance, and you're too embarrassed to tell them you have a girlfriend. Just look at yourself in the mirror, see how much weight you've lost. I could guess with my eyes closed that you're pinching every penny at school. Listen, I have no problem with you spending money on Sophie, but when she wants to spend money on you, don't stop her. I told you before, relationships are a two-way street. When I was broke, wasn't my girlfriend the one who bought me clothes and my phone? And I took them, didn't I? Text Sophie right now. Ask if they've eaten. If not, tell them to meet us at the dining hall. Oh, the weather in New York was perfect, with a low of 77 and a high of 82. After the group had breakfast at the dining hall, Wyatt tossed his car keys to Leo and walked off campus with Cece. They strolled down a sidewalk lined with dense elm trees. Cece wore a white off-the-shoulder t-shirt with a short black skirt, revealing a pair of smooth, fair calves. She had on a pair of small black leather shoes and a tiny crossbody bag slung over her shoulder, her steps light as she walked under the green canopy. She didn't know where Wyatt was taking her, and she didn't care. As long as he was by her side, she'd go anywhere. Watching the cars go by, Wyatt asked with interest, Cece, do you know how to ride a bike? No. You never learned as a kid? They never had time to teach me. Wyatt was speechless. Your dad is really irresponsible. He is. Want to learn? I can teach you. Cece tilted her head up, blinking. Now? Yeah, right now. We don't have anything else to do. But we don't have a bike. Do any of your classmates have one? Wendy does. I've seen her riding one to pick up packages. Then asked to borrow it. Cece quickly took out her phone and sent a message to Wendy. Wyatt had met her a few times. She was outgoing and readily agreed. So, Wyatt and Cece returned to the dorm. After getting the bike from Wendy, Wyatt hopped on. Seeing Cece just standing there, he laughed. What are you looking at me for? Get on. Only then did Cece step forward and sit sideways on the back rack. Why are you pulling on my shirt? Hold on to me. Oh. Cece reached out and wrapped her arms around Wyatt's waist, not forgetting to add, ride slowly, okay? Don't worry. With that, Wyatt pedaled toward the campus gate. The bike wobbled at first, but it soon stabilized. Once you learn how to ride a bike, you never forget, even if you haven't ridden in years. Hold on tight, there's a speed bump ahead. As soon as he said it, the bike bounced over the bump, and Cece's head knocked into his back. Feeling a little pain, she immediately gave his side a gentle pinch. Wyatt was exasperated. Seriously? I warned you, and you're still blaming me. It's your fault. Outside the gate, there were several more speed bumps. Seeing them, Wyatt deliberately didn't warn her. After a few more bumps, Cece learned her lesson. She held down her skirt with one hand and wrapped the other tightly around Wyatt's stomach, finally resting her head against his back. After they had ridden a few more yards, she retaliated by pinching his hard stomach several times. Hey, what are you doing? Taking advantage of me now. Who's taking advantage of you? You're touching my abs. Isn't that taking advantage of me? Nope. Cece leaned against his back again, her voice almost a playful purr. I can touch them whenever I want, and only I can touch them. By the end, her voice was barely a whisper. Wyatt kept pedaling. Huh? What did you say? Nothing, you big dork. The plaza in the middle of the park was a perfect place to practice riding a bike, spacious, flat, and nearly empty during the day. Winnie's bike was a girl's model, complete with a basket on the front and painted a soft pink. Wyatt rode to the plaza, lowered the seat, and explained a few key points about riding. Then he had Cece get on while he stood beside her, holding the handlebars to keep the bike from tipping over. No rush, just pedal slowly and get a feel for it. Don't be scared, I'm right here holding on. The bike won't fall. That's it. Look ahead, not at your feet. Focus on your balance. Just keep doing that. Don't grip the handlebars so tight. Relax. Wyatt was incredibly patient. Cece, the one actually learning, hadn't even felt tired, but after less than half an hour of holding the bike, Wyatt was drenched in sweat. But Cece was a quick learner. With Wyatt safeguarding her, she soon grasped the basics. After about an hour of practice, she could ride in a straight line without any major issues. It was just turning that was still a challenge. She could only manage very wide arcs. Okay, watch out. I'm letting go now, Wyatt announced. Keep your balance. What? Cece was still a little worried. Don't be scared. Your feet can touch the ground. Just ride slowly. Wyatt held onto the back of the seat, and once Cece was steady, he let go. Beads of sweat dripped from his chin. He leaned over, hands on his knees, and watched her slowly ride away, a tired but proud smile on his face. He pulled out his phone, recorded a short video of her riding, and sent it to the group chat with Miranda and Charles. Cece thought Wyatt had been holding on the whole time. It wasn't until she completed a wide turn and headed back that she realized he had let go long ago. She slowed down, carefully riding up to him. After stopping the bike, she looked at him with the eager expression of a child demanding praise for a prize she'd won. I learned so fast. Aren't I amazing? Fast? It's been over an hour. You're so mean. You won't even praise me. Wyatt quickly smiled. Yes, you're amazing. Come here. I'll reward you with a kiss. Get away from me. It's getting late. We can practice more this afternoon. Let's go get something to eat first. Eat what? Just something casual. We're having a big dinner tonight. A big dinner? Wyatt grinned. I invited a friend tonight. I'm going to have Isabelle and Ashley come along, introduce them. It's not that rich friend you mentioned. The one you said was a good match for Isabelle, is it? The very same. Ooh, this is going to be good. Wyatt took her hand. If any sparks fly between them, it really will be a good show. Why are you sweating so much? I was holding onto the bike the whole time you were riding, running alongside you. Of course I'm sweating. EW, you stink. Oh, so you're disgusted by me now, are you? Don't move. I'll get a tissue and wipe your face. Seeing Cece rummaging through her bag for tissues, Wyatt obediently lowered his head and let her wipe the sweat from his face. On the way to the restaurant, both Miranda and Charles replied in the group chat. Miranda sent 3 thumbs-up emojis. And Charles wrote, "That's my girl." In the afternoon, Wyatt continued to practice with Cece for a while. Around 2 o'clock, they headed back to the hotel. Drenched in sweat, Wyatt grabbed a pair of shorts and a fresh t-shirt from his bag and went into the bathroom to shower. Cece sat at the foot of the bed, eating slices of cantaloupe they had picked up earlier while watching the new hit show, How to Get Away with Murder, on her phone. But as soon as Wyatt came out of the bathroom, she quickly shut off her phone. Seeing him shirtless, she immediately said, "Put on a shirt. What are you afraid of? It's not like you didn't see me when I was learning to swim." Though he said that, he still grabbed a clean white t-shirt from his bag and put it on. Cece speared a piece of cantaloupe with a fork and held it out. "This is really sweet. Want some?" Wyatt opened his mouth wide and leaned in. Cece popped the melon into his mouth. After he finished, she asked, "Well, isn't it sweet?" Sweet like you." Cece shot him a playful glare. "What do you think Leo and Sophie are doing right now?" she asked, curious. "I gave them a car. Who cares what they're doing?" Wyatt patted her arm, a mischievous grin on his face. "It's still early. Let's take a nap. They might come back soon. Then I'll text Leo and tell him to stay out and not come back and ruin our fun." Seeing Wyatt actually reach for his phone, Cece sensed danger and quickly got up to flee. But Wyatt, with his quick reflexes, grabbed her and pulled her back. With a gentle tug, she fell onto the bed. He immediately threw the comforter over her and rolled her up tight, like a human burrito. Cece poked her head out of the blanket, her cheeks puffed out in an angry pout. Wyatt reached over and gently pinched her cheeks. With a little squeeze, her lips puckered into a cartoon goldfish mouth. When he let go, they returned to normal. After a few pinches, he said with a laugh, Okay, I'll stop teasing. I'll sleep on my side. You can do whatever you want, all right? Cece opened her mouth, intending to bite him, but Wyatt instinctively pulled his hand back. Seeing that she wasn't going to give up, he obediently extended his hand again. Here, you can have one bite, but not too hard. Before he could finish, Cece had already bitten down, but she didn't use any force. It barely left a mark, just a faint ring of teeth impressions. After Wyatt let her go, he put his phone on the nightstand to charge and flopped onto the bed, closing his eyes and falling asleep almost instantly. Cece sat at the foot of the bed, picked up her phone again, turned the volume down to the lowest setting, and continued watching her show. After one episode, she started to feel drowsy too. She turned to look at the already sleeping Wyatt. After a moment's hesitation, she got up to check the door, found it locked, and then drew the curtains. Cece carefully walked to the side of the bed and lay down next to Wyatt. She slowly inched closer to him, listening to the soft, rhythmic sound of his breathing, and soon closed her eyes and fell asleep. She had a dream. She dreamt that Wyatt was riding a bicycle with her on the back, pedaling through fields of wildflowers that stretched as far as the eye could see. The path was rough, and to keep from being jostled, she had to wrap her arms around his waist, holding on tighter and tighter still. There was a person in his arms. Cece was curled up like a kitten, her hands clasped tightly around his waist. Wyatt had to suppress a laugh. She had been so resistant just a moment ago, and now here she was willingly snuggled up against him. Seeing that she was still fast asleep, Wyatt didn't move. But soon, the ringing of a phone shattered the room's tranquility, and the sound quickly woke Cece. Hello. In a daze, Cece heard Wyatt's voice. She yawned, her sleepy instincts causing her to nestle even closer to his chest. All right, I'll send you the location in about half an hour. You can head straight over then. Okay, talk to you then. It was Michael Zhao on the phone, asking where they were having dinner. After a brief exchange, Wyatt tossed his phone aside. It was only then that Cece fully woke up. She shot up from the bed. Wyatt immediately threw his hands up in a gesture of surrender, a wicked grin on his face. It wasn't my fault. You were the one who crawled into my arms. All right, don't say it. Cece glared at him, then quickly put on her shoes and got up. Wyatt sat up too and called Leo, telling him to take Isabelle, Ashley, and Sophie to the mall first, and then come pick him up. After hanging up, Wyatt went to the bathroom to splash some water on his face and rinse his mouth. Coming out, he saw the cantaloupe from lunch was still unfinished, so he grabbed a fork and polished it off. They waited in the hotel for about 20 minutes. After receiving a message from Leo, Wyatt took Cece downstairs. The four of them then drove to a high-end restaurant on the top floor of the Soho Mall. Isabelle's makeup and outfit today were a departure from her usual style. Normally, she favored black clothes, cultivating a cool, mature vibe. But today she had opted for a sweet look. A fitted white blouse paired with a short pink skirt, a pink headband in her hair, and her long hair tied into pigtails. If Wyatt hadn't been expecting it, he would have definitely joked, "Well, hello there. And who might you be?" Before ordering, Wyatt sent the restaurant's location to Michael. The drive from Apex Capital would only take about 20 minutes. After placing their order, Wyatt specifically told the waiter to hold off on bringing the food for 20 minutes. The waiter agreed and brought out 2 small plates of salted peanuts and sunflower seeds. Ashley then asked knowingly, "Wyatt, don't tell me you invited that rich friend you were talking about." "You knew, so why ask?" "No wonder someone went crazy today and dressed like a teenager. I was starting to think she'd lost her mind." Isabelle reached over and pinched Ashley's thigh. "You zip it. Don't just talk for the sake of talking." She then grabbed a handful of sunflower seeds and placed them in Ashley's hand, as if to say, "Keep yourself busy with these and stop talking about embarrassing things." Wyatt also laughed. "Ashley, you really have no situational awareness. You're sitting next to Isabelle. When he gets here, do you want to be stuck in the middle of them?" "Huh." Ashley finally got it and quickly had Isabelle switch seats with her. Everyone at the table burst out laughing. Seeing this, Isabelle decided to just own it. "What's so funny?" she said, putting on a brave face. "I'm just here to see if he's as handsome as he looks in his pictures. If he's a letdown, this young lady isn't interested anyway." "Huh." Wyatt put his phone on the table and started cracking open sunflower seeds. Next to him, Cece also grabbed a small handful. But instead of eating them, she carefully shelled them and placed the kernels in a small saucer in front of her. After about 20 minutes, Wyatt received a text from Michael. Wyatt told him the name of the restaurant, and a few minutes later, Michael walked in. As luck would have it, that peacock was once again wearing his white suit. Perhaps because it was still warm outside, he had taken off the jacket, revealing a pink shirt underneath. Isabelle was wearing white on top and pink on the bottom. Michael was wearing pink on top and white on the bottom. When Wyatt saw Michael walk in dress like that, he almost burst out laughing. Did you two coordinate this? You're wearing matching outfits on your first meeting. Over here, Wyatt called out, standing up. Michael heard him and walked over. He had assumed it would be a double date, but was pleasantly surprised to see so many beautiful women. He quickly buttoned one more button on his shirt and approached the table. Hope I didn't keep you waiting long. Isabelle finally looked up at him. After just one glance, she quickly lowered her head again. Wyatt smiled. Let me introduce you. This is my friend, Michael Zhao, a man of leisure and taste. Nice to meet you all. Michael, this is my girlfriend, Cece. This is my best bud, Leo. And this is Leo's girlfriend, Sophie. This lovely lady is Ashley. And finally, the beauty wearing a matching outfit with you is Isabelle. They're all my girlfriend's roommates. Hearing this, Isabelle glanced at Michael's clothes again. She shot Wyatt an embarrassed, disapproving look. What matching outfit? Don't talk nonsense. Michael laughed. It does look like a matching outfit, doesn't it? Wyatt motioned for Michael to sit down, then snapped his fingers for the waiter to start bringing the food. Michael was a classic extrovert, a fact Wyatt had picked up on during their first meeting. So, even though this was his first time meeting Isabelle and the others, he showed no signs of shyness. Instead, he took the initiative. So, which university do you all go to? The Giuliard school. No wonder you're all so beautiful. Wyatt didn't give me a heads up. If he had, I would have dressed up more. Wyatt snorted. Give me a break. You're already dressed flashy enough for a parade. Seeing that Isabelle wasn't talking, Ashley deliberately jumped in with a smile. Handsome, where did you go to college? Oh, I studied abroad in the States for a few years. Just came back last year. Impressive. I was mostly just messing around over there. I never wanted to go abroad in the first place, but my uncle forced me to. As they spoke, the waiters began bringing the dishes to the table. Seeing that they were chatting, Wyatt didn't interject much, focusing instead on observing Isabelle and Michael's reactions. Before Michael arrived, Isabelle hadn't taken a single sip of water, but since he sat down, she had taken 3 sips in just a few minutes. And Michael, while seemingly engaged in a lively conversation with Ashley, Leo, and Sophie, was constantly, subtly watching Isabelle. When she went to pour herself some water, he even reached out and held the pitcher for her. Cece, meanwhile, paid little attention to their conversation. She was engrossed in shelling sunflower seeds. When the dishes were almost all on the table, she poured the kernels she had collected in her palm and held them out to Wyatt's mouth. Wyatt hadn't even noticed what she was offering. He just opened his mouth. After Cece had poured the kernels in, she finally looked up, satisfied, and started listening to their conversation. The group chatted cheerfully. Michael couldn't remember the last time he'd had dinner with so many people. Through a series of jokes, he quickly became part of their little circle. When everyone was nearly finished eating, Wyatt stood up to pay the bill. But Michael, seemingly guessing his intention, reached out to stop him. Where are you going? To pay. Hold on, I'll get it. Wyatt smiled. We agreed this one was on me. Michael insisted. Don't argue with me. You haven't gotten your movie investment back yet, so you must be short on cash. Treat me when that money comes in. Michael wasn't wrong. Wyatt had spent almost all of the 10 million plus he had. 5 million for the movie was still tied up, and another 5 had just gone to Ink Live. Plus, he was about to transfer a significant sum to Vivien for her factory expansion. His disposable cash was indeed quite low. You should have said so earlier. If I'd known you were paying, I would have ordered more expensive dishes. Michael pointed a finger at Wyatt, half laughing, half exasperated. Is he always this shameless when he's with you guys? He's always like this, the table chorused. Wyatt waved his hand. All right, we're all pretty much done. Let's pack up and get going. The conversation had been flowing so well that Michael was a little reluctant to leave, but seeing everyone else grabbing their phones and bags, he got up and went with Wyatt to the front desk to settle the bill. After paying, Michael slung an arm around Wyatt's shoulder and headed toward the restroom. While they were at the urinals, Michael turned his head. You guys have plans for later? Nope. Want to go for round 2. Wyatt thought for a moment. Maybe next time. The girls have a curfew at their dorm. Michael nodded. Right. Wyatt immediately shot back. You jerk. Why didn't you just ask if I was free? What's the fun in just the 2 of us? They both finished up and went to the sinks. As he washed his hands, Wyatt said, By the way, don't leave right away. My car can't fit everyone. You can give someone a ride back. No problem. Michael didn't hesitate. I'll take the girl who was sitting next to me. Our outfits are pretty similar today. It feels like fate. Wyatt smiled and nodded. The group took the elevator down to the parking garage. As they stepped out, Wyatt turned to Isabelle. Isabelle, my car's full. I asked Michael to give you a ride back. It's right nearby. Anyway. As he spoke, he shot her a look that clearly said, How's that for setting you up, huh? Isabelle feigned reluctance for a moment, then nodded shyly. All right. Michael quickly led her toward his car. The rest of the group watched their retreating backs, all wearing the same knowing smiles. Sophie whispered, they actually look really good together. Leo scratched his head, but he barely said a word to Isabelle during dinner. If a guy can chat with every other girl, but clams up around one in particular, Sophie explained, then he's 100% interested in that one. Ashley turned to Wyatt. When you two went to the bathroom, did he say anything to you? Wyatt grinned. I told him my car was full and asked him to give someone a ride. He chose Isabelle himself. What? Your school is right around here, isn't it? Yeah, it's really close. Just a few minutes away. Then I won't use the GPS. You can give me directions. Isabelle nodded, then reached for the seatbelt. Finding the buckle stuck under the seat, she pretended not to notice and muttered, why can't I pull the seatbelt out? Let me see. Michael unbuckled his own freshly fastened seatbelt, leaned over to check, and quickly said, it was just stuck. It's fine now. After fixing the seatbelt, he glanced at Isabelle, who was also looking up at him. The car's interior was small, and they were incredibly close. Their eyes met for a few seconds before Isabelle shyly looked down. Michael quickly sat back, stunned. After a moment, he fumbled for a bottle of water from the console, twisted it open, and took a long swig. Want some? I'm not thirsty. Oh, Michael rebuckled his seatbelt and slowly drove out of the underground garage. The mall was just a few hundred yards from the Giuliard campus. The drive would take 5 minutes at most. Before Michael could think of anything else to say, Isabelle pointed to the east gate of the school. Turn in there, and we're almost there. Michael looked up and, realizing they had arrived, so quickly laughed. It's that close? It must be convenient for you guys to hang out. It's all right. Does Wyatt come over to see his girlfriend often? Yeah, almost every weekend, unless there's something special going on. Michael said, I just got back to the country, so I don't have many friends here. Plus, my office isn't far from here, only a 20-minute drive. Next time you guys go out, you can include me. I'm always available. Okay, which way now? That building up ahead is our dorm. Michael quickly drove over and parked downstairs. Isabelle hesitated for a moment, then grabbed her bag, said thanks, and prepared to get out. Her hand was on the door handle, and she was silently counting down in her head. 5, 4, 3, 2? Michael finally blurted out. If it's convenient, could I get your number? Isabelle feigned consideration for 2 seconds, then took out her phone and let Michael scan her contact QR code. Just as Isabelle accepted his friend request, Wyatt's car pulled up behind them. The 4 golden flowers of dorm room 205 soon walked into the building together. Michael walked over to Wyatt's car, opened the door, and slid into the passenger seat. His first words were, Wyatt, what's the deal? What's what deal? Seeing Leo in the back, Michael hesitated. Wyatt saw through him. Spit it out. Leo's one of us. Only then did Michael ask, isn't your girlfriend, Director Evans's daughter? Why is her last name Chun? Wyatt laughed. When did I ever tell you my girlfriend was Director Evans's daughter? That time of the club. Wyatt cut him off. It's a long story. To make it short, that night was actually... Wyatt briefly explained his relationship with Charles and Jessica Evans, and why he had been at the club with Charles that night. After hearing the explanation, Michael shook his head and smiled. And here I thought you were two-timing. I'm not that kind of guy. So where are you two sleeping tonight? The hotel. All right. Next time there's a get-together like this, make sure you call me. Did you get her number? I did. Michael then realized. Whoa. How did you know I just got her number? Wyatt grinned. You were stealing glances at her all through dinner. You think I'm blind? Was I that obvious? Don't worry, no one else noticed. And my lips are sealed. You're a real one. Michael clapped Wyatt on the shoulder. My man. Back in the dorm, Isabelle kicked off her shoes and plopped down in her chair. She pulled a yogurt drink from under her desk, stuck a straw in it, and began scrolling through Michael's social media feed while sipping. Ashley sidled up, a sly grin on her face. So, Miss Isabelle, what's the verdict? Are you smitten? Isabelle, now back in her element, puffed out her chest. I don't know. Why don't you feel and find out? Ashley rolled her eyes. What's there to feel on that airport runway? Unfazed, Isabelle tapped on one of Michael's photos. But seriously, he seems like a decent guy. I teased him a little in the car, and he actually got nervous. How did you tease him? The other 3 roommates leaned in, all ears. Isabelle shrugged. I pretended my seatbelt was stuck. He leaned over to help, and since the car was so cramped, I deliberately looked at him from super close up. And then he what? He immediately sat back up and nervously chugged a bottle of water. You are a master. Cece then asked, so if he asks you out again, will you go? Of course, why wouldn't I? Isabelle replied coolly. Listen up, ladies. If a rich man takes a liking to you, it's best to marry him. All a rich man might want from you is to be a good wife, raise the kids, and provide him with emotional support. But a regular guy might need you to be a wife, raise the kids, do all the housework, serve as parents, have a job that can support yourself, be thoughtful in every little thing, and so on and so on. She took a long sip of her yogurt. This Michael guy, his family background is set, he's pretty good looking, and from my initial assessment, his character is decent. I have no reason to refuse him. Then she added, but I'm not going to be that proactive. I have to hold the reins. Whether it's people or things, if they're too easy to get, they're never cherished. Cece, Sophie, and Ashley stared at Isabelle, listening more intently than they ever did in class. Isabelle shook her phone with a smile. I need to give Wyatt a heads up, and none of you are allowed to expose me in front of anyone. Ashley clasped her hands at her waist and gave a little curtsy. As you command, Your Majesty. Oh, stop. Isabelle picked up her phone and started texting Wyatt. Hey bro, back at the hotel. After chatting with Michael for a bit, Wyatt had returned to his room. Seeing Isabelle's message, he sat on the bed and typed back. Just got back. What's up? Isabelle. He's not with you, is he? Wyatt. He went home. Isabelle. So? What's the verdict? Wyatt. There's potential. Isabelle. Just potential? Wyatt. Isn't that enough for you? For you. Reeling him in should be a piece of cake, right? Isabelle. I'm not that powerful, Wyatt. Stop pretending. Seeing you act all prim and proper at the dinner table today almost made me laugh out loud. Isabelle, oh, shut up. Isabelle, seriously though, don't blow my cover in front of him. Wyatt, don't worry. You know I'm reliable. Isabelle. /thumbs up, /thumbs up, /thumbs up. Putting her phone down, Isabelle turned to her roommates. Anyone need a shower? If not, I'm going first. You go ahead. Isabelle placed her half-finished yogurt on the desk, grabbed a set of pajamas from her closet, and went into the bathroom. The straw in the yogurt drink was chewed almost to shreds. Back at his place, Michael lay on his comfortable leather sofa, also scrolling through Isabelle's social media. Her feed was full of selfies. Michael opened each one, zoomed in for a close-up, and then saved it to his photo album. Wyatt had asked him about his love life before, and at the time, he'd said he wasn't interested. But fate has a way of showing up when you least expect it. It was like that old song, love is like a blue sky and white clouds, a sunny day, then a sudden storm. Nowhere to hide, always catching you by surprise. Those few seconds of eye contact in the car, Michael had genuinely felt his heart skip a beat. He'd known Wyatt for a while, but he'd never really been envious of him in any particular way. But tonight, at dinner, when he saw Cece feed the shelled sunflower seeds to Wyatt, that was the moment he truly felt a pang of envy. The reason he hadn't been interested in dating before was because of a failed relationship he'd had overseas. He yearned for a simple, pure, beautiful love like Wyatt and Cece's. And just then, Isabelle appeared. The first time he saw her, it was as if someone in his heart had said, "That's her." Half an hour later, Michael put his phone down and went to take a shower. By the time he was lying in bed, it was almost 10 o'clock. He felt he should send Isabelle a message. If he added her and didn't send a single message on the first day, it would be even harder to contact her later. But the tone had to be just right. He didn't want to seem too forward. So, after a moment's thought, Michael finally typed out a sentence and sent it. "Hey, beautiful, are you asleep?" When Isabelle saw the message, she was thrilled, but she deliberately didn't reply immediately. She waited a full minute before typing back. Just about to, Michael took the initiative. "Want to go for karaoke tomorrow night? Bring your roommates and Wyatt and Leo too." A smile spread across Isabelle's face. He finally asked me out, she thought. But she didn't agree. Instead, she replied seriously, "Tomorrow won't work. I have an early class on Monday and Wyatt and the guys have to go back to their school." Seeing that message, Michael's fiery heart felt like it had been doused with a bucket of ice water, which then instantly froze and shattered on the floor. He couldn't believe he had been rejected the very first time he asked her out. About a minute and a half later, Isabelle's second message arrived. "How about next Friday or Saturday?" Michael's eyes lit up. He quickly typed, "Great. Next week it is." When you've just added someone, you can't keep the conversation going forever on the first day. That would be like laying all your cards on the table, showing you're interested. To keep the upper hand, Isabelle chatted with Michael for a few more minutes, then sent another message. "It's getting late. I'm going to sleep." Michael, "Okay, good night." Isabelle, "Good night." Nice. Seeing her good night, Michael was so excited he almost jumped out of bed. And Isabelle, after sending her message, changed Michael's contact name in her phone. After his name, she added 1%. The progress bar for this romance had officially begun. September 9th. The Last Ember finished its theatrical run with a total box office of $148 million. According to Carter Liu, the project's return on investment was around 600%. Carter was now in communication with the distributor to see when the money would be transferred to the company's account. The week passed peacefully. Wyatt's life was a simple triangle: dorm, classroom, office. Chris and Sam were much the same, the only difference being that they skipped fewer classes than Wyatt. As for Alex, he was out and about all day, doing who knows what, sometimes returning to the dorm even later than Wyatt. When Wyatt asked, he found out that Alex had joined the student government to be closer to Lily. But it seemed he wasn't well-liked there. He often came back from student government activities with a long face. Wyatt didn't interfere. You reap what you sow. It was his own path to walk. Friday. Wyatt had just woken up when he got a call from Michael. He answered, tucking the phone between his ear and shoulder while he brushed his teeth. Boss Zhao, what's gotten into you, calling me this early? Are you going to see your girlfriend tonight? Yeah. All right, then dinner's on you tonight, and karaoke is on me. You sing? Michael chuckled. Haven't been to karaoke in a while. Feeling the urge, Wyatt laughed and shot back. I don't even have the heart to call you out. You don't want to sing. You want to pick up a girl. Don't be so vulgar. I just think she's a nice person and want to get to know her better. Didn't you used to preach to me about life is precious, love is dear, but for freedom's sake, both can be cast away? What happened to that? Now, you suddenly think she's nice? Can't help it. It's fate. Wyatt's tone turned serious. Then you'd better be serious about it. I'm good friends with all of them. Don't put me in a position where I'm caught in the middle. How could I? Don't you trust my character? No, seriously, you have to help me with this. Fine, I get it. I'm brushing my teeth. Wait for my signal this afternoon. You got it. After washing up, Wyatt went with his 3 roommates to the dining hall for breakfast. After attending 2 mandatory lectures in the morning, Alex disappeared. At lunch, Wyatt received a message from Alex. Wyatt, can I borrow some money? How much? 500 is enough. Wyatt transferred it to him immediately. A couple of minutes later, Wyatt typed out another line and sent it to Alex. Alex, I'm telling you again, money is for showing off to women, not for spending on them. Meanwhile, in a high-end restaurant, Alex put down his phone and stared at the food on the table, his face dark with thought. Across from him, Lily noticed he wasn't eating. What's wrong? She asked with concern. No appetite. Oh no, I was just thinking about something. With that, Alex picked up his chopsticks and ate absent-mindedly for a while before suddenly gathering his courage. Lily looked up and blinked at him. What is it? Alex's face turned red, but he finally managed to say the words he had been holding back for so long. I like you. Will you be my girlfriend? Lily froze, silent for a long moment. The atmosphere grew increasingly awkward. Just as Alex felt his entire body was on fire, Lily spoke. I need some time to think about it. Can we just keep things as they are for a while? That way, we can get to know each other better. Alex quickly nodded. Okay. He was overjoyed. He even started eating faster. But it wasn't long before he realized something. Lily's answer just now. Was it a yes or a no? Wyatt drove to Giuliard right after lunch. Cece was surprised to see him so early. She spotted him from her balcony and immediately asked Isabelle to sign her in for their afternoon class. After Isabelle agreed, Cece grabbed her bag and rushed downstairs. Watching her hurry off, Ashley shook her head and sighed with a smile. Looks like Cece is officially love-struck. What do you mean officially? Isabelle countered. She's always been love-struck. Haven't you noticed how she's a completely different person when she's with Wyatt? I have, Sophie chimed in. At dinner last week, did you see how she was shelling sunflower seeds for him and putting food on his plate? Of course I saw. As the 3 were chatting, the dorm room door suddenly opened. It was Cece. She had forgotten her phone and only realized it when she got to the stairs, so she had come back. Seeing her 3 roommates staring at her blankly, she asked, What are you all looking at me for? Were you guys talking about me again? I heard you say love-struck. No, you must have misheard. From their expressions, Cece knew she had guessed right, but she couldn't be bothered to care. Everyone close to her knew about her, and Wyatt anyway. Love-struck, so what? Ever since she'd met that dork downstairs, her brain hadn't been working right anyway. Cece grabbed her phone and quickly headed back down. When Wyatt saw her, he smiled. Don't you have a class on Friday afternoons? I had Isabelle sign me in. You're skipping class for me. I'm skipping class. What do you mean, for you? Wyatt grinned. If I hadn't come, would you have gone to class? Of course I would have. Then you are skipping for me. I am not. Cece huffed, turning her head away defiantly. Wyatt reached over and pinched her cheek. You're all talk. All right, where are we going now? Anywhere. Anywhere means the hotel, then. No. Then you tell me where. Cece thought for a moment. I want to go to an art supply store. What for? I want to buy a set of drawing supplies. You could draw. Yep. I have many talents, she said, her little mouth pouting with pride. I took painting classes for a while when I was a kid. My paintings even won awards. Wyatt smiled. Then you could draw a picture of me later. Okay, don't need to take my clothes off. Take your clothes off. Don't you have to be naked for a life drawing? If you don't mind, I can get completely naked. Cece raised a small fist and playfully punched him. I don't want to see you naked. But when a girl says no, she usually means, you say one more word and I'll bite you. Ha, I'll stop. Wyatt navigated to an art supply store. Once inside, Cece led him on a leisurely tour. She seemed to have a fondness for stationery and small trinkets. Wyatt remembered seeing a pen holder on her desk filled with all sorts of pens, along with several journals. He didn't rush her. They had plenty of time. He just followed behind her like a puppy. Soon, he received a message from Michael. Michael, are you with your girlfriend yet? Wyatt, I'm here already. Michael, do me a favor. Wyatt, what is it? Michael, help me see what color clothes she's wearing today. Wyatt couldn't help but laugh. Last time, their matching outfits had been a coincidence. He couldn't believe Michael was trying to manufacture another one. It was so transparent. Wyatt had initially worried that Isabelle, with her brash humor, might be no match for a wealthy heir like Michael. Now, it seemed she could probably wrap him around her little finger in minutes. Cece, what is Isabelle wearing today? She's just wearing a little white dress. Why do you ask? No reason. Wyatt quickly replied to Michael. She's wearing a little white dress today. Michael sent back an okay emoji. He drove back to his apartment, went straight to his walk-in closet, and pulled out a black polo shirt and black casual pants. Standing in front of the mirror, he changed into the new outfit, then smiled with satisfaction. Black and white, he thought happily. A perfect match. Cece bought a mountain of art supplies. After leaving the store, they drove to the hotel. As soon as they were in the room, she eagerly spread a large sheet of paper on the coffee table and arranged her new tools beside it. Once everything was ready, Cece handed Wyatt her phone. Pick a photo. I'll draw it. Wyatt unlocked the phone to a gallery of photos. Cece wasn't one for selfies, nor did she take a ton of scenery pictures like Isabelle. 50% of the photos were ones Wyatt had taken and sent to her, and another 15% were candid shots she had secretly taken of him. Why did you secretly take so many ugly pictures of me? Don't you dare delete them. Relax, I won't. Wyatt scrolled through, but he still felt that the two photos from last New Year's Eve were the best and most meaningful. He tapped on the one where he was giving her a bear hug from behind and placed the phone on the coffee table. Let's do this one. Cece glanced at it and smiled. Like Wyatt, she loved that photo. The other one, where they were standing side by side with their heads tilted, was still the lock screen on both of their phones. She placed the phone to the left of the paper, studied it for a moment, then picked up a pencil and began sketching out the composition. But the sofa was too high, forcing her to hunch over. Finding it uncomfortable, she put a pillow on the floor and sat cross-legged on it instead. Wyatt sat on the sofa behind her, watching quietly. Once the outlines were done, Cece started on the finer details. Her hands were deft. The pencils seemed to have a special magic in them. In no time, their likenesses began to emerge on the paper. After she finished their hair, she put the pencil down and rotated her wrist. Take a break, Wyatt said gently. There's no rush. Cece shook her head. My hand's just a little sore. Give me your hand. I'll rub it for you. As if it were the most natural thing in the world, Cece held out her small hand. Wyatt took it as if it were a precious treasure, kneading it gently before kissing the back of her hand and letting go. The tip of the pencil whispered across the paper. As time passed, Cece managed to perfectly replicate the photo. She checked it several times for any mistakes, and finding none, she clapped her hands together in satisfaction. It's done. Wyatt hadn't touched his phone the entire time, choosing instead to watch and offer praise, providing ample emotional support. Seeing that she was finished, he leaned in, picked up the drawing, and admired it from every angle, a wide grin on his face. This is amazing. You're so talented. Come here, and let me give you a kiss as a reward. Get away. Cece pushed him away and stood up, but because she had been sitting for so long, her legs had gone numb. She quickly sat back down on the sofa, making small fists and tapping her calves. What's wrong? Wyatt asked, feigning ignorance. My legs are asleep. The words were barely out of her mouth before Wyatt had lifted her legs into his lap and, with lightning speed, pulled off her little white socks. The moment his hand touched her foot, Cece jolted as if shocked. The arch of her foot went rigid, and her delicate toes curled tight. Thanks to Michael, Wyatt had been to enough foot massage spas to know how to give a comfortable massage. He cradled her heel and used his other hand, balled into a fist, to knead the sole of her foot with just the right amount of pressure. Then he moved on to her calves. That tickle. Cece bit her lip, her eyes shimmering. She wanted to pull her leg back, but it felt too good. To distract herself, she asked, her face flushing. Have you ever done this for anyone else? Of course not. Okay, my leg isn't numb anymore. Just as Cece was about to retract her leg, Wyatt held it fast and pointed to a spot on her thigh. When did you get a mosquito bite here? I don't know. Doesn't it itch? It didn't before, but now that you mention it, it kind of does. Wyatt smiled. You should put some bug spray on it when you get back to the dorm. I don't need to. Cece shook her head, pulling her leg back. If you press a cross shape into a mosquito bite, it stops itching. She said it, and she did it right there. Seeing this, Wyatt's heart melted. How can my girlfriend be so adorable? He reached out, cupped her face in his hands, and kissed her, forcefully, domineeringly, and without any reason at all. At 5:30, Michael got a call from Wyatt and rushed over to Giuliard. Wyatt, once again using the car as full excuse, had Michael pick up Isabelle, Ashley, and Sophie from the dorm and meet them at the designated restaurant. Michael was more than willing. He drove as fast as the speed limit would allow, pulled up to the girls' dorm, checked his hair in the mirror, and then sent Isabelle a text. Isabelle, having already gotten the heads up from Wyatt, received the message, spritzed a little perfume on her wrists, and then dabbed some behind her ears. The scent was subtle, unnoticeable from a distance, but not overpowering up close. Let's go, girls. Isabelle grabbed her bag and led her two roommates downstairs. Michael was so lost in his nervousness that he didn't even notice how quickly they had come down. When he saw Isabelle opening the back door of his car, he mentally kicked himself for not getting out to open it for them. After Isabelle got in the back, Ashley and Sophie followed. Isabelle seemed to have anticipated this, because she quickly said, "Why are you all sitting in the back? Don't you know that's rude?" It was an unwritten rule among acquaintances that if the passenger seat was empty, you took it. To do otherwise was to treat the driver like a chauffeur. But given that they had only met Michael once, it wasn't a major faux pas. But after Isabelle spoke, she pushed open the door on her side, got out, walked around to the passenger side, and got in. Michael's heart soared. Oh my God, she's so considerate. Wait, why is my heart beating so fast? Ashley and Sophie were stunned. Seriously, sis? Is that even a move? You were the one who sat in the back first. If you weren't going to sit up front, were we supposed to? Good grief. You're so desperate for a man you'd pull a stunt like this. These were Ashley and Sophie's inner thoughts, of course. They would never say such things in front of Michael. But Ashley was already furiously typing in their group chat, calling Isabelle out. Isabelle, secretly reading the messages, smiled and typed back. Relax, relax. Big sis is teaching you how to catch a man. Just watch and learn. Ashley, shameless. Sophie, you have no shame. Isabelle, that's enough, you too. Say one more word, and it's corporal punishment when we get back to the dorm. /threaten, /threaten. Isabelle put her phone away and proactively started a conversation. Did Wyatt say where we're eating tonight? The IFC Mall, over by the Empire State Building. Oh, what places have you all visited in the city? The waterfront, the aquarium, South Street Seaport, the Met, the Brooklyn Botanic Garden. That's about it for now. Michael asked, haven't you been to Six Flags? No, we only have time during the holidays, and the tickets are really expensive then. Hearing this, Michael thought, here's my chance. He quickly said, I have a special connection where I can get VIP tickets for Six Flags, the kind that let you skip all the lines. Whenever you want to go, just let me know. I can take you. Really? But those tickets must be super expensive, right? Not all. Besides, when we go out, there's no way I'd let you girls pay. It's on me, of course. Oh, I couldn't let you do that. It's no problem. Listening to Michael and Isabelle go back and forth, Ashley felt a wave of secondhand embarrassment wash over her. Isabelle, oh, Isabelle, we literally went to Six Flags for New Year's Eve. And you're telling him you've never been? Does your conscience not hurt? Sophie was completely dumbfounded. So this is what high-level dating looks like. 25 minutes later, Michael's car met Wyatt's in the underground parking garage of the IFC Mall. Given its prime location, the first and second floors were almost entirely occupied by luxury brand stores. Vacheron Constantin, Prada, Hermes, Dior, and so on. Any major luxury brand you could think of had a flagship store here. The group took an elevator up to the fourth floor, to a restaurant Wyatt had chosen called Per Se. The restaurant's dishes were beautifully presented and tasted exquisite, but the portions were small. It was enough for the girls, but Wyatt felt he would have been more satisfied with a hearty food from a dive bar patio. But tonight, the food wasn't the main event. When they were about halfway through the meal, Wyatt spoke up. Michael said he wants to go for karaoke tonight, his treat. You guys don't have other plans, do you? Nope. The girls all shook their heads. Michael's gaze, however, was fixed on Isabelle. Isabelle, in turn, asked, is the karaoke place far from here? Not at all, Michael quickly replied. It's right nearby. Anyway, Wyatt and I will make sure you all get back to your dorm safely after. Only then did Isabelle nod in agreement. And so, after finishing dinner, the group followed Michael to a nearby karaoke lounge. As soon as Michael stepped into the lobby, a staff member immediately rushed over. Mr. Zhao, welcome. Give me a deluxe medium room. And prepare 2 extra orders of snacks and fruit platters. No alcohol needed. Right away, sir. This way, please. The staff member set Michael up at the front desk, then led them to a suite complete with its own private bathroom and bar. Wyatt let the girls and Leo go in first, then pulled Michael aside toward the public restroom. Michael was confused. There's a bathroom in the room. Why are you dragging me out here? Are you an idiot? Hey, what did I do to you? Wyatt was exasperated. The moment you walked in, the staff saw you, and their eyes lit up like you were their long-lost father. Anyone with half a brain could tell you're a regular here. Now think about it. Do respectable people frequent places like this? Oh crap. I swear, I'm done with you. I think you should just stay single. I give you an opportunity, and you're still useless. Michael grabbed Wyatt's arm, his face a mask of desperation. So, what do I do now? Suffer. Don't do this to me. Quick, think of a way to fix this. Wyatt held out his hand. Did you just pay with a membership card from here? Yeah. Give me the card. Huh. Are you going to give it to me or not? Michael, finally understanding, fumbled in his wallet for the card. Wyatt saw that his wallet was stuffed with other VIP cards and immediately scolded him. The last time I was at your office, you said you were going to give me all your club, bar, and karaoke cards. You son of a bitch, you kept this many for yourself. Michael was truly panicking now. He had calculated every move, but hadn't foreseen this quick exposure. He hurriedly pulled all the VIP cards from his wallet and shoved them into Wyatt's hand. Wyatt took them and unceremoniously stuffed them into his own pocket. Only then did he say, Isabelle isn't stupid. She's definitely figured this out already. If she doesn't care, it means she's not interested in you. But if she subtly asks if you come to places like this often, that means she's at least a little interested. When that happens, you have to answer carefully. What do I say? Tell her it's for work, that you only come to these places to entertain business clients. Michael blinked. But that's the truth. I don't care if it is or not. If she asks, that's what you say. Okay, you go on back. I'm going to take a leak. Michael didn't think twice and headed back to the room. The moment he was gone, Wyatt stepped into a stall, pulled out his phone, and sent a message to Isabelle. Later, make sure you find a chance to ask Michael if he comes to places like this often. Isabelle replied almost instantly. How did you know I was going to ask him that? Of course I know you. By the way, was it you who told Michael I was wearing all white today, so he wore all black? Yep, I knew it. There's no way it was such a coincidence. So he liked me from the moment he saw me. I think he's lost his mind, personally. But you better keep it in check. If you play your games too hard and he gets fed up and breaks up with you, it's not my problem. Don't worry. I have him wrapped around my little finger